Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, and welcome to the Chaos 120 live stream for 11/24/2017, Black Friday.
I like that. I like that.
Thank you very much. So, without further ado, I'm just going to run through our merry panel here that we have with us. As always, we have Greater Ajax.
Hi there.
The Indomitable Plain Speech.
Chatelet.
The next 6 minutes.
I am here and I am stoked. Let's get this fire cooking.
All right.
Oh yeah. And of course, yours truly, Scooby331. So, gentlemen, what's on tonight's agenda?
Apparently standing between the couch and the ottoman and having the ottoman slip right out from under him on the dog's case.
Cool. Is he okay?
Oh yeah, he's fine. It wasn't that tall. It just was not what he was anticipating and not quite what he had in mind.
Watching hapless suburbanites getting trampled underfoot on YouTube.
Did we get a good death toll this year? I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest.
I don't know if we have. I don't know if we have any fatalities this year, but there certainly have been a number of fights.
Okay, so it's not for lack of effort.
Right.
Okay, as long as we're trying. I won't settle for half-assed Black Friday murder sprees. They got at least.
Got to put in some of the effort there.
Well, isn't Monday now Digital Monday? So don't they have a follow-up?
Yeah. But nobody goes to kill each other for that. Which is
unless somebody throws a laptop at another person.
I was going to say, when was the last time you went to an Apple store?
On
purpose? Just say, go there on Digital Monday. It's fun watching those nerds try to claw each other's eyes out.
Yeah, I went past one last year because it was next to the Lego store, but I didn't go.
That's how they lure you in.
Yeah, actually, I went to one once, but only because my work sent me there on the clock because I was having problems with my work-issued laptop. For some reason, the highly paid employee is more important than the person they could have sent like an intern or something.
On Cyber Monday, beware of the killer apps.
Always beware of the killer apps, and beware of what was that? Not Siri, Alexa.
Oh yeah.
What happened with Alexa?
I can't even figure out when Bruce Jenner died.
Oh boy.
Steven Crowder did a good job on that one. I don't even think he really had to edit that, did he?
No, I highly doubt he had to do any editing on that.
I couldn't remember what they cut out any like dead parts or anything. But I think it was just a straight cam setup and just go.
Yeah,
that is classic.
Jesus, the Lord Jesus Christ is a fictional character, but Muhammad is a wise prophet.
The funny thing about that is the Quran actually does say that Jesus was a prophet. So they're actually going against the Quran by saying he's
they are
a character. There
Isn't
was
that haram, though?
Historical person named Jesus Christ. So
is it haram to say that, though? To say that the Quran is wrong?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing, is that, they're contradicting themselves by trying to virtue signal.
So does that mean that the Best Buy might be a bunch of Muslims are going to come running in from Bayshore on a jihad and start smashing all the Alexas?
God, I hope so.
That would be great.
That would be a great YouTube video.
It would be. I would pay to see that one. I could put that one on $1 to rent, and I would watch it.
There
I'd love that. I can imagine that. I go into to get a wire or something. I see about half a dozen of them running past me with them over their heads, and just smashing the fucking pile in the store.
The funny thing is, if it did happen on Black Friday, nobody'd bat an eye. They just figure it's
back at the shop being Doc Brown, no one complained.
So it would be less out of place than some kid jumping up on a McDonald's counter screaming "Pickle Rick."
I ran across a video the other day of you know that sitting on the bench Ronald McDonald statue they've been doing for years,
Yes.
where he's just got his so he can sit with his arm around you.
Yeah.
Someone had slung an M249 saw on it. I'll lay down some mix suppressing fire so you can make a mix.
That's great.
I should see if I can find that.
You got shot in the McRibs.
Yeah.
Shot off his McNuggets.
Right back,
And I took an arrow to the
The bullet started flying and everybody was McFlurrying.
Oh, God.
What was the name of your drill sergeant? His name was Big Mac.
I went through on one of the classes with the Grimace. So.
Oh, man. But the ammo was stolen by the Hamburglar.
Yeah.
But he was stopped by Mayor
Drop it in.
McCheese.
I'll drop it in the live stream channel. So feel free to share it up if you want.
Okay.
There you go.
Sharing is caring.
It can be. It can also be considered rape.
Yeah.
It can be. Your undocumented boyfriend.
So let's see. What have you guys have been up to lately? As far as YouTube goes.
I've got a couple unreleased videos. It's mostly just audio badly from my car. I should probably re-record.
It's not a bad idea to record it in the car and just get a framework of what you want to put out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a
framework. You kind of have to go back and redo it. No, it'll definitely be a better thing once I finally do. But I get home and then dog duty means that I never get to it.
It's like, you could look at it like an audio outline.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't do topical videos, though, because whenever I release, it's still usually valid.
Mm.
And I am sharing Gab. Spell the name of Scooby correctly. And I'm just about ready to read our first story in Chaos News. There we go. Oh, crap. So, would you guys like to hear a funny story?
Sure. Is it from Russia or is it from Florida?
Oh, this one's from Florida. Only the best for Black Friday. Of course, this comes from our Florida field reporter, Colleen Bernier. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
Guess what?
What?
A Florida man tried to break into a car filled with, guess? What was it filled with? Haha, that's right. Cops, officials say. A Florida man chose the wrong vehicle to break into. Surveillance video appeared to capture 49-year-old Stephen Titlin. Stephen Titlin. Going from car to car along a residential block in Tampa earlier this month. 7 times he was stymied as the doors were locked. The next day, Titland, who was already on felony probation for a burglary and criminal mischief conviction, had more success when he found an unlocked door. The vehicle, however, was not empty. It was an unmarked Pasco Sheriff's Office vehicle and was occupied with several members of the Sheriff's Office Strategic Targeted Area Response Team. Surprise! That's like a clown car of incarceration there.
He's not off to a good start.
Nope, he would have had better luck robbing a donut shop. Analysts positively identified Titland as the same man from the attempted burglaries the night before, authorities said. The Pasco Sheriff's Office shared a still from the surveillance video Thursday on Facebook and identified Titland as the suspect. Titland was charged with 7 attempted burglaries. You know I was going to do that every time his name was coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's a...
Titland or GTFO?
This guy looks like a middle school bus driver. I will put the story inside chat so you guys can bask your eyes on this wonderful specimen of Grand Theft Autoing.
It's not Carl Johnson, that's for sure.
Nope.
Titland. Why does that sound like a theme park for drunken guys?
World.
This one's I love the this is a funny oh boy. Okay. Uh-oh. This story was so hot that I can no longer find it. It's an error 404. Da, da, da. Okay, let's see. Let's read this one here. This one, of course, comes from our friend Yin Wolf. Thank you, Yin Wolf. And this one is, Mom arrested charged with felony for putting recorder in 9-year-old's backpack to catch her bully. Interesting.
Why would she be arrested for that?
That doesn't sound illegal, actually.
No.
Well, we'll find out.
Keeping it out on your own kid seems fairly legitimate.
Norfolk, Virginia. For weeks, Sarah Sims said she called and emailed school officials repeatedly to tell them her child was being bullied at school and was never given a response. So she took matters into her own hands, and now she is facing felony charges. Holy shit. Sims discovered her daughter was being bullied in late September, so like any parent would do, she reached out to school officials for help, but she received nothing.
That's typical.
Yeah.
Yes, very typical, actually.
The thing that bothers me the most is that I am yet to get a response from anyone in the administration, Sims added. After being shrugged off by the school, Sims decided that she would take matters into her own hands and catch her 9-year-old daughter's bully. I tried to be fair, but it's not fair, said Sims. There's nothing fair about this. She wanted to obtain proof that nothing was being done to help her 4th grader, so she put a digital recorder in her backpack to capture audio from inside the classroom. If I'm not getting an answer from you, what am I left to do? She asked. Shortly after placing the recorder in her daughter's backpack, it was found by the school, who has a no electronic device policy. Her daughter was then moved to a new class, and police came after Sims. Whoa. I was mortified, Sims said. The next thing I know, I'm a felon. Felony charges and a misdemeanor when I'm trying to look out for my kid. What do you do? Local news outlet WAVY, yes, WAVY, some clever bastard got that one, contacted the Norfolk school system for a comment, and they were told because it's a pending investigation, no one could comment on what is happening. We were told that in elementary schools, no electronic devices are allowed. They aren't making this about that classroom, said Sims attorney Kristen Paulding. These are charges that carry jail time. According to WAVY, yes, WAVY, Sims was charged with felony use of a device to intercept oral communication and misdemeanor contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The felony charge could carry 5 years in prison. Instead of comforting her, she's going to a magistrate and being handcuffed, Paulding added, for simply listening to what her own child went through during the day via a recording device. This mother is facing a felony charge that can land her in jail. Hopefully, as her attorney notes, these charges won't hold up in court. We are at the very early stages of this, but even at the early stages, I think the community needs to know that this is happening, because any parent out there that is sending their child to a school now could be at risk for something that happened to Sarah, Paulding said. Sadly, TFTP has reported on mothers putting recording devices in their child's backpack to catch bullies after the school failed to act. Let's see. Megan Dowdy was one of those mothers. Dowdy said her son had been having night terrors. She suspected something wrong was happening at school, so she placed a recording device in her son's pocket. Her child, who's 13 years old and autistic, has cognitive skills of a first grader and the communication capacity of a kindergartner, according to Dowdy. She said his behavior at night led her to believe something terrible was happening at school, she said. He kept getting up during the night and having night terrors, screaming, having meltdowns for no reason. What Dowdy found on her recorder was horrifying. Her autistic son's bully was a cop. A Pinellas County school resource officer serving in Osceola Middle School was caught on audio recordings abusing the autistic child. Ironically, the officer, Oral Darling, had been celebrated as one of the Florida's top school resource officers for his work in preventing bullying. Ironic.
What?
And all that has since changed now that Darling has been found to be the bully, caught by the student's mother verbally torturing the child. He was fired in August, but unlike Sarah Sims in the story above, who merely tried to catch her daughter's bully, the officer was not charged. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah.
This is
all sorts of. Gee.
One of the many, many kind of things that makes me believe that if I had children, I would be homeschooling. It's got nothing to. It's got nothing to do with education being there. It's everything to do with just BS level of control.
Wow.
They don't care about kids there at all.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. I still don't understand it. A school is a public place.
Yeah.
You'd be allowed to record your surroundings, especially just audio. I mean, different if there's a camera because the people are underage, but I still don't understand the charge.
When I was in high school, before I actually, left to get homeschooling, I was allowed to have a recorder to record the lecture that my teacher.
Yes, we were allowed the same. Yeah, we had little cassette tapes in them back then instead of digital. But yeah,
and but I had gotten prior permission to do so. Though if this woman gets anything more severe than, say, a slap on the wrist, it's bullshit.
Total bullshit.
Especially after an established history of being ignored by school administration officials over a very serious matter. That's really that's kind of sucks. I'm very glad that I found the following story.
Oh,
this is also out of Florida, and this comes to us from our friend Matt Brown. So, Matt Brown, wherever you are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And or madam. I'm not assuming gender.
Or species.
Oh, shit.
You speciesist or whatever. Let's see. Miami, a deep-fried turkey led to a chaotic Thanksgiving morning for one Florida apartment building, and the incident sent 4 people to the hospital. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue spokesman Erica Benitez said one of the families in the building started deep-frying a turkey on Wednesday. Yes, we kind of hinted on this one yesterday, but I wanted to go over it again because, yes, the key thing that we should be focusing on is that one of the families in the building started deep frying a turkey on Wednesday night inside the South Florida apartment and woke up Feeling ill on Thursday, fire rescue workers evacuated the building after they detected high levels of carbon monoxide in the building. The Miami Herald reports 4 people were hospitalized with carbon monoxide poisoning and 3 others were treated at the apartment. Rescue workers gave the all clear by 10 a.m. Thursday because somebody was deep frying a turkey in the building.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Damn.
What's the worst that can happen? Really?
Oh, there's a shit ton that could happen. That building may not exist anymore because I live in Texas. There's a lot of that goes. That's one of the most common techniques for cooking turkeys in the state of Texas is deep frying it. But the key difference here is that we do it outdoors.
Yeah.
Preferably on a
concrete
terrain
surface
that is not flammable, and certainly not in any enclosed structure. Holy shit.
Oh, man.
Deep frying a turkey indoors. Thank you, Florida. Oh,
Wow.
boy. That certainly was a foul story. Ooh. Speaking of foul, our friend Yin Wolf has sent us a lovely link for a fashion trend that I hope never comes to pass. I will send you that into the side chat, and I will also send this to our regular chat after I finish reading this lovely article. And this, of course, comes from our friend Yin Wolf. Thank you for the story.
Thank you, Yin.
Okay, by now you've probably grown used to some of the pretty bizarre fashion trends. It felt as though we've seen it all and nothing could surprise us anymore. And then fried chicken pants came to our lives. I'll read that again. And then fried chicken pants came into our lives. Honestly, they're so extra, they're kind of growing on me. I mean, who doesn't love fried chicken? Well, I certainly love fried chicken. I don't like wearing fried chicken.
See, I'm just waiting to find out if they're pants for chickens or fried chicken pants for humans.
They are fried chicken pants for humans, unfortunately. And this
Then
looks like this is a trend that has come from our friends in Japan.
No.
All I can think about when I look at these pants is KFC, he tweeted in Japanese. He totally has a point, although I can't say they're most flattering pants in the world. No, these make the hammer pants look reasonable. Oh my gosh. Many followers agreed with the fried chicken sentiment and they worked their Photoshop magic to prove the point. They certainly did. Others were reminded of these carrots, and they also have a point. And these are pictures of the carrots with the 2 roots. Whatever you may think of the pants, I don't think the world is quite ready to jump on this trend yet. Oh my gosh. What do they remind you of? Fried chicken, carrots, or something else? Comment and let us know. Dear gosh. Okay, chat. I'm sending you the link, and let us know what you think. Yeah. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
Oh, man.
Damn.
And I was saving all my old Zumba pants, just waiting for them to come back into style.
Yeah.
I think that moment is now.
Well, there's certainly a style that I can't touch.
No one can touch that.
Okay. We have a lovely story from our field reporter, Colleen Bernier. Did this happen in Florida? I don't know if this happened in Florida. So it's not a Florida story, but it is certainly from our Florida field reporter, Colleen Bernier. Thank you for this one. Let's see. Huge Black Friday brawl inside mall as shopper throws shoe which hits baby.
Oh,
And women wrestle on floor. Wow.
who takes a baby to that kind of chaos?
Somebody that doesn't have the good sense to pass on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Just to save a few bucks. Oh boy. Let's get into this one. Black Friday shoppers got into a huge brawl at a shopping mall as wild footage shows women wrestling on the floor and being handcuffed by police. Women were seen punching and kicking each other while one allegedly threw a shoe that hit a baby.
Oh, fuck.
Wow. There were scenes of chaos as the women brawled and police and staff struggled to break them apart. Stunned witnesses laughed and recorded video on their mobile phones as police ordered them to leave the store. The mall in the U.S. state of Alabama had to be shut down early after multiple fights were reported, while a shooting left one person critically injured at a mall in Missouri as Black Friday shoppers showed up looking for deals. It must have been one hell of a toaster oven. Damn.
God.
Let's see. A number of women were arrested during the brawl inside a shop at River Chase Galleria Mall in Hoover, Alabama. Hoover, Alabama. It's the deals that they was vacuuming those deals up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Footage shows women wrestling with each other on the floor as police and security try to pull them apart in front of a crowd, including children. Nearby, a group of women fight as a police officer pulls one of them away and tries to handcuff her. A police officer yells at witnesses, "Get out of here, go," as they're threatened with jail if they don't comply. Oh boy. The fight broke out late Thursday night, Thanksgiving Day, in the U.S. as malls opened early for Black Friday sales. A Fox 6 News reporter wrote on Facebook that a witness reported seeing a shoe hit a baby after it was thrown over a railing at the clothing shop Buckle. One shopper wrote, "My cousin and her family was there in lockdown at a Build-A-Bear. So scary." Added another, "Who takes a baby to Black Friday?"
Yeah.
You know what? We have the same damn question. Who takes a baby to Black Friday? Apparently this idiot did. Damn. Okay. About 12 to 15 police officers were called in to break up fights, it was reported. Social media users reported gunfire at the mall, but police said the reports were not confirmed and no one was shot, AL.com reported. Local officials, well, that contradicts what we just read just a while ago. Local officials said one person was treated at the scene for minor injuries suffered during a fight. Police say the fights were of a personal nature and not over sales. Color me skeptical.
Yeah. Somehow I'm not buying it.
I have my doubts about that assertion there. The mall had opened at 6 p.m. and was forced to shut just after 11 due to fights. Blah, 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 blah. In Columbia, Missouri, a shooting during Black Friday sales left a 19-year-old in life-threatening condition. The victim suffered a gunshot wound in a car outside the Columbia Mall late Thursday night, ABC 17 reported. Police were investigating whether the shooting was accidental or deliberate. During Black Friday, it was both accidental and deliberate.
Yes.
Black Friday has become a U.S. phenomenon which has spread around the world to countries including the UK, with stores offering discounts weeks before Christmas. In the U.S., shoppers queue hours or even days before sales begin, skipping their turkey dinner to get their hands on TVs, microwaves, children's toys, clothing, and other items at deep discounts. However, the massive retail event is usually marred by violence, with reports of fights, even gunfire at stores and malls every year. Black Friday is a much more tame affair in Britain, where it hasn't been widely accepted. Footage posted online by a BBC journalist shows just one person entering the Curry's PC World shop in Oxford Street in London when the store opened its doors on Friday morning, and a second person lingering outside. The scene was ridiculed on social media.
Give them time. Give them time.
They'll eventually get it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this year total sales are around 15. That's the pound sign from British currency, 15 BN, whatever that means. 15 billion, I guess, are expected in the U.S., with British shoppers likely to spend 10.1 billion during the. That's a lot of money during the Black Friday period, defined as November 20th through 27th. In the U.S., online spending is expected to surpass 100 billion for the first time this holiday season. By 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, Americans had already spent 1.52 billion online on Thanksgiving Day, up 17% from last year, with nearly half of those sales for smartphones. The Washington Post reported. So nobody died, but somebody came close. It's unsure whether the shooting was intentional or accidental or both.
You know, what scares me is these are fights breaking out over sales.
Yep.
Could you imagine if there was some sort of apocalyptic event and these people were fighting over food?
Yeah.
They would die really fast, which would be fantastic.
You would see middle-class, middle-aged suburban housewives strangling each other to death over a chicken wing.
Oh, they wouldn't be throwing shoes. They'd be throwing the baby.
Yeah, they'd be throwing the baby.
God.
Damn. Yeah, I don't understand Black Friday. I mean, to a certain degree I do, but here's the thing. Have some decorum. Act like adults. I know it's hard to ask because you're dealing with a mob mentality. As soon as you get that many people together, whatever higher brain functions any individual may possess, it immediately shuts off, and they do just crazy shit. And this happens every year. People get trampled. There are fights. There's stabbings. Sometimes shootings. Sometimes babies being thrown. Or stuff thrown at babies. I don't want to make it sound worse than it already is. Holy shit. Anyhow. So we have another story from our, let's see. Oh my gosh. Colleen Bernier, you are a bloodhound for oddity. So, believe it or not, a couple crashed their car into a tree while having sex on highway with baby in the back seat. I guess they were on their way to a Black Friday sale.
The syntax was a little confusing. They were having sex with a baby in the back seat?
No, there should be a comma there.
Okay.
But this is yahoo.com, so don't expect things like commas. Okay, a couple in Washington State. Oh, that's up where you are, buddy.
Yeah.
Has sustained multiple injuries after crashing their car into a tree while having sex, police said. The man was drunk and the woman was sitting on top of him, engaging in sexual activity. While they navigated a local highway, State Trooper Brooke Bova told The Independent. Both were naked. The man failed to negotiate the curves in the road. Obviously, he didn't fail to negotiate the curves in his wife. Okay. Miss Bova said... Oh my gosh! And struck. That was I added that little bit there. and struck a tree with his car. The woman broke her pelvis, damn, and the man broke his wrist. So he will not be able to finish himself off after being rudely interrupted by that tree. Anyhow, their 3-month-old child, properly restrained in a car seat in the back, was uninjured. Witnesses told police they saw the couple, both in their early 20s, exit the vehicle naked. Some witnesses reported one of them fleeing the scene, evidently not the one with the broken pelvis. Oh, gosh. Miss Bova believes the couple were scrambling to locate their clothes before police arrived. I've never seen anything like this, Miss Bova said. If the man is convicted, it will be his 4th DUI in Washington state, a felony offense. He has also been charged with vehicular assault and child engagement. Engagement? I would have to say endangerment. I think did they mean endangerment? They say engagement. That just doesn't sound right. That sounds very bad. It sounds worse than crashing your tree while having sex.
I read it as.
Yeah. He was booked into Pierce County Jail immediately after his release from the emergency room. The woman has been admitted to the hospital, and it is unclear whether charges will be brought against her. Ms. Bova said, authorities have not announced what will be done with the child. A study of college students conducted by researchers at the University of South Dakota found that 33% of men and 9% of women had engaged in sexual activity while driving. None of these students surveyed had crashed their cars as a result. Or else we would have been reading their stories tonight instead of this unfortunate pair of, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Phew. Well, damn. So I wonder, that's going to be a hell of a call to the insurance company.
So, how'd you break your pelvis?
Funny you should ask. Oh boy. Okay, we have another story from our friend Colleen Bernier. Oh boy. Mother calls for Sleeping Beauty to be banned from primary schools as it promotes inappropriate behavior. Okay.
If this is about rape culture, I'm going to fucking lose it.
It is. It's going to be about kissing her while she's asleep.
Yeah, you may want to mute yourself and go to your angry dome. And
I'm in the angry dome when I stream. That's the problem.
Well, you may decide to treat us to your rants or mute yourself. That's entirely up to you. I think it'll be entertaining either way.
Go ahead and make angered sputtering just rage. Please do.
I need to step away from the tools. All right. Got it.
Yeah. A mother has asked for Sleeping Beauty to be removed from the classes of younger children at her son's primary school as it promotes inappropriate sexual behavior. Sarah Hall from Northumberland Park near Newcastle raised the issue after her 6-year-old brought home a children's book version of the fairy tale. The mother of 2. Oh, your microphone said something, or your microwave said something.
Sorry.
That's cool. Scoob's back.
Hey, Scoob.
Welcome back.
Hey, I've been back for a few minutes. I've been listening. Sorry.
Okay.
I hear a little bit over the open mic.
Let's see. The mother of 2 said she was concerned about the message that the story, where the prince kisses Sleeping Beauty to wake her from her cursed slumber, sent to young children. However, she added that she felt the story should not be completely removed from the curriculum and could be used to start a conversation with older children around consent.
Either it's in or it's out.
Yeah. Speaking, yeah. You have to take that So I don't she looks normal enough.
They usually
Well,
do.
I don't know. She kind of has that. I don't know. You guys be the judge. Does she look like one of these obsessives that? Now that I look at her again, I would say, yeah, she kind of does.
Where would I see this?
It's in the side chat.
Oh, I can't see that.
It's Sarah Hall. She kind of has that look in her eyes, like
Damaged goods.
afraid of her own shadow.
Hmm.
Anyhow, let's see. Speaking to the Newcastle Chronicle, Ms. Hall said, I think it's a specific issue in the Sleeping Beauty story about sexual behavior and consent. It's about saying all this is still relevant. Is it appropriate? Very well. Okay, in today's society, it isn't appropriate. My son is only 6. He absorbs everything he sees, and it isn't as if he can turn it into a constructive conversation. Well, you know, I saw that movie when I was a kid. I've seen it, probably saw it at least once when I was a teenager, and I've probably seen it at least once since I've been an adult. You know how much that has actually influenced me to do anything or think anything other than that's just some shit that happened in a movie.
Right.
Well, all that tells me is she's not raising her kids to actually think.
No.
Obviously.
You
know what? When I saw Lion King, I thought, well, it's perfectly appropriate for me to kill my brother and take power.
It did work for you.
It did. I mean, honestly, any one of these kids' movies, if you really want to pick it apart enough,
yeah,
there's
nitpickers.
something wrong with all of them.
Some kind of issue people will take with the villain.
Yeah, that is the nature of nitpickers. They will pick apart anything and everything because they are so insecure and paranoid about everything, and they are so afraid of people around them having to come to terms themselves about the things that they are exposed to. Now there are limits to that philosophy because there are very inappropriate things that you don't want to expose your kids to. But there are some things that point to a certain style of helicopter parenting, and we have too much of that.
Yes.
And she goes on. I don't think taking Sleeping Beauty books out of circulation completely would be right. I think it would be a great resource for older children. You could have a conversation around it. You could talk about consent and how the princess might feel. Well, the princess wasn't feeling jack shit because she was under a spell of some sort. And
I would not like to have that conversation because I want people to actually have chivalry.
Yeah.
You know, the conversation they want to have is very different from any reality.
Right. This is such a fantastical scenario that it's not really applicable to the quote unquote real world. Anyhow, let's see. I'm really concerned about it for younger children and would really welcome a conversation about whether this is suitable material. The story of Sleeping Beauty originates from the tale of the sun, moon, and Talia by the 16th century Italian poet Giambattista Basile. And the original telling of a princess falls under a spell and is raped by a king who finds her in her palace while out hunting. The princess later wakes up, falls in love with the king, and marries him. It sounds like Islam there.
It doesn't sound that different from European monarchy either, to be honest, over the centuries.
Well, what century was it? Because it might have actually been when Islam occupied Italy.
That's true.
Let's see. 16th century. That's a little later, though.
That is a little late.
Yeah.
I think they got chased out of Europe earlier than that. At least according to Assassin's Creed. Let's see. The fairy tale was later adapted into the modern version, which sees a princess cursed by a sorceress who is not invited to the celebration of her birth. The curse says the princess will die after pricking her finger on a spindle, but a good fairy manages to partially reverse the spell so that she instead falls asleep for 100 years. The Sleeping Beauty princess is then woken from her slumber after being kissed by a prince who discovers her in the castle. The fairy tale was made into a famous Disney film in 1959, a film that I have seen many times. And I'm not inspired to go raping or inappropriately touching a la Harvey Weinstein anybody, because I watched a Disney film where some dude kisses a princess and wakes her up from a coma of mystical proportions.
Bambi does make me want to go deer hunting, though.
Bambi makes me want to eat venison.
Ooh, yeah, good peppered venison, nice and lean venison jerky. That's all I'm saying. In the in the book, Miss Hall's son brought home, a character called Kipper is seen telling the prince to kiss the princess. As then she wakes up, everyone knows that. The 40-year-old said she's my age. Oh gosh. And she was partly prompted to take action over the book by the coverage of the recent sexual harassment scandals. So yes, because
she really wants to avoid the whole, let your kids being influenced by a rapist. What they'll do is stop letting them watch anything put out by the television and film industries. If anybody has a pro-rape angle, it's them.
When
tweeting, so many people in Hollywood are virtue signaling about this whole, rape and sexual abuse thing, is because it's the culture they have within their own industry, not because anybody else is doing it.
And they project all that shit on the rest of the population. We have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay. When tweeting about the book her son brought home, she used the #MeToo hashtag, which thousands of women and men have used to share their experiences of sexual harassment in the wake of Harvey Weinstein scandal. The mother then left a comment on her son's record book and has since contacted the school to ask for the book to be removed from younger classes. Miss Hall added, "These are indicative of how ingrained that kind of behavior is in society. All these small things build up, but they make a difference. I think it's a specific issue in the Sleeping Beauty story about sexual behavior and consent. It's all about saying, this is still irrelevant. Is it appropriate? All these small things build up, all they make a difference." Well, they might in somebody who has poor character to begin with.
Especially if they're being raised by someone with poor character, so I can see why she might be concerned about her own child.
Oh, yes. Yes. So she definitely has those. I'm about to make very poor decisions on behalf of people other than myself eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is projection.
I thought that story was going to be funny, but it turned out to be kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But,
extremely annoying.
Certainly, it's something that it's important that we know that people like this are out there, because if we bury our heads in the sand, these people will just run amok.
They are running amok.
Yeah, that's a given. It's I love how they try to tell you, well, this is just how society is nowadays. I can't wait for the pushback, and not like the younger guys. I'm not looking for violence. I want like legislation. I want them to put these people back in the loony bins.
Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, I want to see people. I want to see people brought up on charges. I want to see the Hollywood system drain away like so much swamp. I want to see their cultural tyranny on not only the rest of the country but the rest of the world be not only opposed but defeated.
Oh, wouldn't that be incredible?
That would be awesome.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
So then you're going to see a lot of politicians, particularly on the Democratic side, very nervous because their cultural power base will be essentially rotted away.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I wanted to ask you a question. I got this young kid I streamed with him the other day. Young guy, about 19 or so. Smart as hell. He's going to school to be a history teacher. He's in my Discord server all the time. Smart.
New history or the real history?
Real history.
Oh, wow.
Is he the guy that
available in that line of work these days? But more power to him. Hope he succeeds.
Is he the guy with the skeleton avatar?
Yeah. Yeah. He's always putting up all the stuff he finds with his metal detector.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that kid. He was asking if he can hop in with us. He found our conversation interesting.
Yeah, I got no problem.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right, cool. Send the boy a link. All right, cool. There you go, Smart. I sent you the link. Hop in at your leisure. Just make sure not to dox yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of bad. Make sure you don't have any of your real name stuff associated with the account that you're about to log in with. And if you don't want your face shown, then turn off your camera before you hop in. So I have a piece of tape on mine. I don't mind showing my face because I've been doing that pretty much since the beginning of my there we go.
Oh, hey, Smart.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Well, thanks, Scoob.
Hey, not a problem, man. I know how it is. I'm stuck here shackled to her ankle tonight anyway. That's the reason I do this.
Yeah. I'm freezing my ass off.
What, is it cold over by you?
Yeah, my room's like the coldest room in the house. I don't know why. It just seems like it's always like it's the coldest room in the house in the wintertime, and then can you guys hear me? For some reason I'm getting a
I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
It was like it's one of those prompts that says this page is not responding. Do you want to kill it? No, but like it's always the coldest room in the house in the wintertime and the warmest room in the house in the summertime. So it's like I can never win.
Yeah.
That's like mine,
spring, right?
What?
You live for spring when it's not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah.
So I take it this room is on the north side of the building.
Yeah, it's at the front of the house. Okay, I keep getting this fucking prompt. I'll be right back. I need to. I'll close the page for a second to get the prompt to go away.
Sure.
Yep.
Sounds like he's using Chrome.
Yeah, same as me. Well, for whatever reason, I can't get this thing to work without Chrome.
All right, hopefully that works.
I'm using Safari right now. It's okay unless you want to actually do screen share, but when you do use screen share using Safari, my actual name is at the top of the screen. So that's how I doxed myself on Weibo's channel a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that happened to me. I was actually accidentally using the wrong account when I first streamed, and it had my full name in it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good thing only like 20 people watch this stream. Otherwise, if like thousands of people are watching it, I'd be fucked probably.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Because you know how like a lot of those crazy people will try to like find out the names of these people and try to get them fired and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, no, I know. Believe me, that's the reason I have to hide my identity. You know, I live right outside of New York City, so I keep telling everybody, you know, Antifa can just like basically get in a car and come to my house and be here in 20 minutes. So I have to hide my identity because you can't be a dissenter in New York.
That's why I really want to invest in a firearm as soon as I can. So like if one of these what do you call them, Black Brigade type people come to our house, just fucking, what?
Yeah, the Black Bloc.
Just kind of open my window and, well, I'm not sure if that would be legal. You have to wait until they break in, right?
Yeah.
Castle Doctrines shit.
Well, you could always do what I do. Like I had a problem with people hopping fences. So you just when you see people throwing things out like old broken toys like tricycles and things of that nature, you can just take them and line the side of your fence with it. And when they hop the fence, they're landing on rusty tricycles.
Oh
and
my
shit.
god! See, like you help they pray to God they got their tetanus shot.
Yeah, I had to do things like that because you know they were coming and stealing all sorts of shit that they could get their hands on.
So do you live
That's the problem up here.
Do you live in an apartment or is it an actual house?
Oh, it's a house. It's a house. New York doesn't have actually a lot of apartments. You're thinking
really?
more of yeah, you're thinking more of once you get into excuse me, Brooklyn is notorious for their apartments. Queens and Long Island, the apartments are more like towards where there's like the L trains, the trains that are above ground. Wherever there's a train line, you'll see the apartments. So they only are actually where the trains are. But once you get into Brooklyn, it's a lot more apartments. You got a lot of brownstones. But by me, it's all houses. But the houses are small. My property is only, I think, it's either a 32nd or a 64th of an acre. It's, yeah, my front yard is maybe 30 foot across, and the entirety of the yard from front to back is, I want to say 60 feet.
I mean, wait,
that's 60 by 30 with the house in the middle.
I mean, I understand you probably don't want to like disclose, but like, I mean, I imagine New York City is a pretty tight.
I'm not in the city. I'm outside of
it. So, are you like in a suburb or?
Well, if you want to call it that, my township has a population of, I think, what did we say last night? It was, guys. It was, I think, 220,000.
Oh my God! So yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, and just the village I live in is 3.2 square miles, and 1.6 of that is water. And within that amount of area, there's 48,000 people.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess you could call it a suburb if you really wanted, but I think it's stretching the term. It's think of it like Delmarva down by you. Just like you have that large population sprawl in that one particular area by the peninsula.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like that, but a lot more compacted and magnified. So, excuse me. To give you an idea, I'm about 36 miles from Times Square, Manhattan, as the crow flies. And within the area from where my house is to there's probably a few million people. It's just massive, the population here. It's ridiculous. That's the reason they think that they can take control of the rest of the country.
Well, I mean, they kind of in a way do. I mean, they're like the largest city in the world, so they kind of, it's like a very big influencer on like the rest of the country.
I guess, but I like the rest of the country being like the rest of the country, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I mean,
yeah, no, I hear you. It's just,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's like, I'm sure like you know this too more than anyone else, but there's some good things about New York.
Yeah, me. No, there is. I'm sure if I actually sat here and racked my brain, I could think about it. It's just,
I mean, You got all the landmarks and the sites like Times Square and the Empire State Building and Statue of Liberty is closer to New Jersey than it is New York, but you got all those big sites and.
Well, I actually prefer the fact that we have all the history here and all the historical sites. I could give a shit less about the more modern things.
Yeah.
I guess because I've been to the Empire State Building so many damn times.
Oh, yeah. I remember I went there with my family during the summer, and like I never been to like a big city really. Like Baltimore is a big city, but like never like a place with so many skyscrapers, and it just was like holy shit, it just like just looking at all the big buildings surrounding me, and like we went to like one of the higher floors of the Empire State Building, and like our ears popped, like.
Yeah.
I never had anything like that happen to me except on like the airplane, but
That's really cool, man. I think right, that me and Ajax here, we went down to DC back in September.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've never been down there before. I've driven through it, but I've never actually been in DC. And I'm telling you, man, as somebody who grew up outside, the quote unquote greatest city in the world, and pretty much grew up in it. I had to commute there constantly as a boy, so I was constantly in New York City. But our nation's capital, man, I was floored. You can ask Ajax. I was walking around looking like a retard the whole time. All wide-eyed, staring up at shit like, oh, because I was just amazed at how beautiful everything was.
Yeah, you were pretty taken by it, man.
Yeah.
It was nice, So, I mean, you got that, and you got Baltimore right there by you. I don't know how far you are out of it.
Speaking of Baltimore, did you hear about that detective who was shot with his own gun a few days ago?
No, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, there was a detective, and apparently he was set to testify against like 8 of his fellow police officers who had been like charged with like corruption, and some people think that it was it to keep him from talking. But yeah, Baltimore has like one of the highest murder rates in the country. It's pretty bad.
Oh yeah. At one point,
it's
actually funny. Where I live is called Babylon, and it got that name because of how many brothels that were here and how many gambling houses, and we were actually a stop off for pirates. It got the name, I believe at that point, Edward Teach, Blackbeard, had actually came up from up here once, from when I think he was in Charleston at the time, down in the Carolinas. I think this was at the point right before he had married his wife. But it got the name Babylon, and one of the things that it was known for was at one point it beat out Baltimore for its whorehouses, which was considered a feat because Baltimore is holy shit. Is Baltimore? I think that weren't they like the last city outside of Vegas to outlaw prostitution?
I don't think Vegas. I think Vegas is one of the few places where prostitution is allowed.
That's what my point is.
Okay. I thought it's illegal I thought it's illegal everywhere except Nevada.
That's my whole point. I think Baltimore was the last city outside of the Nevada statehood that.
I get you. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
My brain's kind of.
No, it's okay. I didn't word it right. I should have been more clear. That was on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they were known for their gambling houses. Just basically like gangs of New York type shit.
That is funny to think about, considering how you think like Baltimore and Las Vegas in the same sentence. It's kind of, but yeah, I remember I went to Baltimore a year ago to see like an Orioles game at the stadium. And like we went for a really bad part of town. Some of the buildings looked like they'd been literally blown up. Like it looked like a fucking war zone, to Like you've seen pictures of like buildings destroyed in like World War II. It looked like
kind
that.
of like Detroit then.
Yeah, kind of. It just these really run down, shitty areas, like buildings that have been like, if they weren't like abandoned, then they certainly looked it. It just is kind of a shame considering like there's like really nice areas, like you got your landmarks, you got the big aquarium, you got the World Trade Center, you got the harbor, and you got the little Ripley's. Believe it or not, we went there once.
But that's how democratic cities end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either fantastic or it's a complete ghetto.
Oh yeah.
Any city.
Baltimore, St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago. That's just how it is.
Oakland, New Orleans.
Last time you went to Philly.
One time, what's the name of the team? The baseball team for Detroit. What is it? Is it the
Tigers?
Yeah, the Tigers. Apparently, it was a couple of years back. I think it was when the Tigers are hosting a game in their stadium. When like fans are coming in from out of the city, the police were at the border of the city handing out flyers saying "Enter at your own risk."
And meanwhile, Baltimore is the city that the only one that I'm aware of that in recent history has played a game for an empty stadium.
Yes.
Thanks to rioting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Baltimore riots. Yeah, Freddie Gray. And I remember that was fucking scary because my mom actually worked in Baltimore.
Scary enough watching it. I watched some footage of that game just for the creep factor.
And we were kind of worried that it was going to spread out to like other areas of the state. But yeah, my mom works in Baltimore, so it was scary for her.
I bet.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember if they didn't let her come to work during that time. I'm sure it would have made sense if they did, but I can't remember if she did or not.
Like Ajax was saying about any city that's had historically democratic leadership for the last 50 or 60 years has pretty much ended up the same.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's unheard of in cities that are historically Republican, but you see a lot of the most major examples. Your Chicago's, your Detroit's, all the other cities that Ajax listed off.
Oh, St. Louis is scary.
Yeah, I've been to St. Louis. It is a scary fucking place. And this was back in the 80s.
I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I find St. Louis scary. Just because I don't know the layout well enough to know what to avoid. And I've ended up in some neighborhoods. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, a quarter block from here, it was beautiful, and now I'm in a war zone.
Yeah, Philly's like that.
It is.
Holy shit, is Philly scary? My God, I thought
even the nice parts of Philly are dirty as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nasty little town.
Yeah.
Like
It's why I'm so glad I live in country. Like the area I live in is very like conservative, very rural. Like not a lot of buildings. Like the closest like stores and stuff are 15 minutes away. Like I always thought that was so quick, but then I hear about people they can just walk from their house to the store. It's like,
You wanna know something funny, Smart? I was a little bit older than you the first time I ever saw a cow.
Oh no, yeah. So we're like there. Like if you drive less than like just outside my neighborhood, there's like farms everywhere. Cows.
Yeah, I'd never seen a cow before. I'd never seen a real farm. I'd never seen planted fields or any of that shit. I went upstate. They were having a ball making fun of me.
Yeah, there's acres.
Come on, Scooby. We're gonna show you what sheep look like today.
I'm the exact opposite. I don't even remember the first time I saw a cow.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's just acres and acres and acres of open farmland, and it's really something when you look at it. Well, I mean, it's not really that spectacular to me because I've been looking at it for almost 20 years now. But yeah, and then they have like little fairs and where like they invite people to come and look at the animals, and of course they have like the pumpkin fields for Halloween, and people come with their families to pick pumpkins from the pumpkin patches at the farms, and then they make the Christmas trees, you know, and
sounds a lot like where I grew up.
Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in South Texas.
Okay. Well, I mean, Texas is see, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to say like Texas is mostly rural compared to Maryland because Maryland has a significant amount of rural areas too. It's just
Well, if you look at it this way, if you were to take a lot of that empty space out from in between the cities, it would be comparable to most states with a few major cities. It's just that the land area is so big that we have all that land that is devoted to more rural purposes. So we kind of have that reputation, but we have quite a few major urban areas. So I live in one of those, San Antonio, and we have a Ripley's. Believe it or not.
I don't believe you.
I was rather fond of that growing up, visiting the city. So that was one of the attractions that I was most attracted to.
yeah.
Okay.
Someone's pleasuring their desk.
So,
What?
so CHAOS120 now with sound effects.
What's going on? Someone stroke out.
Someone
Kind of seemed like it, yeah.
Someone's desk is getting personally massaged.
I think somebody's silent alarm has begun ringing, and that's why we heard the brrrr.
Is it like a hum?
It's like when somebody's cell phone goes off, but it's on vibrate, and it's on like a hard table.
That might be my computer. For some reason, it like decides to have an aneurysm every once in a while, and it like fucking whirs and.
So are your all your case fans, are they firmly plugged in?
Well, no, it's on a desktop. It's a laptop.
It looks like Scoob just fell out of the broadcast here, so one of us is now in control of the stream.
Meanwhile, it's on his channel, so this won't last long.
Right.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get kicked out of here pretty soon. So,
Well, if he hops back in the next couple of minutes, we'll be okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
We didn't
saying
think we had
that,
to go anywhere, so.
yeah. So if anybody has any last thoughts that they'd like to express, now would probably be a good time to do it.
I have a question.
Should we preemptively shell around?
I guess so. Go. Oh,
Okay.
he's back. He's back. Okay.
Yeah, welcome back. Good. We don't have to preempt.
Still have a question. Are traps gay?
Yes.
Funny you should ask. I have a lovely video about that. It's on my channel. It's 60 Answers, episode 2.
Oh, really? Give me a little spoiler about.
Well, there's a certain someone that streams with us, so one of the CHAOS120 crew that has garnered a reputation for. Well, people joke that she's a trap, but she's not really a trap. It's just a running joke. So yeah. I have this section in my Discord, Ask Six, and people ask me questions, and then I answer them on a video that I put out every Thursday just before my CHAOS120 stream. And last week's episode was about a certain individual and whether or not I thought she was a trap.
And what do you say?
Well, you have to watch the video. What's the point of spoiling it and you not watching the video?
You're leaving me hanging.
You, sir, will have to buy the cow. You shall not get the milk for free.
Well, milk is racist anyway.
Cows are bad.
Reminds me of a girl in the neighborhood.
Like cows are bad for the atmosphere. They fart like all that methane.
Yeah, they're not really out to stop us, fake climate change. They're really just out to make us go vegan.
Well, apparently they are legitimately like really bad for the atmosphere. Like there's been like research, I think, that's
but the difference is I don't care.
Oh well, I mean, I don't really care either. I mean, regardless of that, I'm still like ground beef, you know, with my din din. But
I'm currently eating beef flavored.
Wait, you like cows with
Ramen.
no legs?
He likes ground beef, yes.
Okay.
ground beef, my din din.
Made into patties.
I
Not patties, not Irish people, but patties.
So the place where you grow rice.
Right.
Right. So I'm currently eating beef flavored ramen and trying really hard to hold back tears because I'd really love a juicy hamburger.
Are vegans bad for the environment too?
It's really sad that like we live in a day of age where it's like an advertising it's like a bonus on like advertising to say that your product has real blank in it, you know, like real cheese, real beef, real.
It's made from real imitation cheese.
Real lemon. It's like, what the fuck else would you put in it? Just some citric acid or.
The funniest description. The funniest description of cheese I've ever heard, and it's a joke that I've used for almost 2 decades now, is I heard cheese described as a cheese type product.
Yeah. So American cheese, you know.
So you've been eating MREs again?
Well, no. American cheese. You know what I'm talking about, right? The squares of cheese.
That's not cheese. That's processed product cheese food.
Exactly. They can't legally call it cheese because it's not actually cheese. It's just a bunch of chemicals and shit. So they have to call it cheese product because it's not actually cheese.
It contains cheese.
Yeah,
It contains, but it's not actually. It's not like actually cheese. It's just part of the cheese. So they have to
There's
call
not
it.
enough cheese in it to call it real cheese.
Exactly.
And that's too bad because they make such
100% cheese.
I mean, I like American cheese. You know, don't get me wrong. I love my American cheese, but like.
I knew a guy that ran a cheddar factory still likes the processed stuff for something. It's just a matter of application.
Oh yeah, grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
A slice of American processed cheese, a slice of Swiss, some jalapenos.
Yeah.
There we go.
You got to have some
I
bacon
can
in there.
stand
too.
American.
Yeah.
I much prefer I much prefer actual real melted cheese, but depending on what I'm doing, like if I'm camping, I'll use it.
See, as a racist, I prefer white American cheese. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, apparently that's actually better for you because it has chemicals in it.
It's true.
I won't put that on my nachos, but there's a lot of applications for it where it's actually pretty darn good.
Makes you wonder why the cheese was yellow in the first place.
Same reason as the snow.
So would you eat yellow snow? I think you would, because you think it's lemon flavored.
So one of my favorite Frank Zappa songs.
Was he the guy who named his daughter like Moon something?
Moon Unit Zappa. He also named his kid Dweezil, yeah.
Like what? Like I imagine that kid probably would shit.
You forget the third kid.
If the Moon Unit was a girl, right?
Moon Unit, Dweezil was a boy, and then there was Ahmed.
Weasel probably got the living shit beat out of him at school.
Ahmed.
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
generation, especially depending where he lives.
Was it his son or daughter he named North? Kanye West.
Daughter.
Yeah. Oh, you heard about how Kanye West is planning on like making an app?
I'm gonna let you finish, but
I think Beyonce's apps were the greatest ever created.
But he's making an app where it's going to be a game where you play as Kanye West. It's if you play as Kanye West, you play as Kanye West's mom, and you're trying to get her to heaven. And it was parodied in the most recent South Park game, where it's like
69 degrees. I'm taking off my hoodie.
Yeah, it's quite.
I don't know if I want to play a game where your character is a gay fish.
Gay fish. Yeah. You like fish sticks?
I'm still amazed that after what happened with Kanye when they abducted his ass, threw him in the nut house because he went pro-Trump.
It's like I have this theory that Dave Chappelle was was targeted by some people in the Hollywood elite for his rather truthful comedy about black culture.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he like intimidated? Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, I wonder exactly how much of that played into his conversion to Islam.
Oh my god, that really disgusted me.
Yeah.
I would have to say Dave Chappelle is a man that is not really all that in charge of his own life.
He's definitely not, especially now that he converted to Islam. Hollywood Islam is like about the most cancerous kind we have in this country, outside of actual like infiltrated ISIS members.
It worked for Cat Stevens.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Islam is just like it's entirely based around the idea of submission. You know.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm sure he and Mostaf can have nice little Ramadan parties.
I can't help but like considering what's been going on in Hollywood and the comedy world nowadays. I can't help but expect like to hear in like the news that not Kanye West, Dave Chappelle is going to be like accused by like 9 women of like touching them or masturbating in front of them or something creepy like that.
They were all his wives.
What?
I said they were all his wives.
Wait, do you like? It's like the Mormons and the Muslims had that thing in common, don't they?
No, Mormons quit doing that in like the 1800s.
Wait, did Mormons stop polygamy? I forget.
Yeah, like
there are some that practice.
140 years ago.
Legal, but
there's like some off sects that everyone within the church otherwise distances themselves from.
I will say that there was one good thing from polygamy. If the Mormons didn't do polygamy, we wouldn't have gotten John Moses Browning. That's the only thing I can say about it.
True.
Because John Moses Browning is the guy who invented all the guns. He was born from his father's second wife. So if his father hadn't converted to Mormonism, he would never gotten another wife and conceived John Browning.
I'm certainly glad to have John Browning.
Yeah, one had the BAR, the 1911, or the high power, or
the Mod Deuce.
I'm switching to desktop, so
or the Browning machine gun round.
Oh yeah, that are you talking about the one that they still use today? The
50 BMG.
Yeah.
What's not to love about the 50 BMG?
It's heavy. That's the only thing.
I have none.
That's what privates are for.
I need a gun.
So, what are the laws like in Maryland? Do you have to be 21 to get a pistol?
Yeah, 18 for a long gun, 21 for a pistol.
Yeah, pretty much like Texas.
There we go. Down here, I've got a computer. I've got pumpkin pie.
I can't help but imagine that. I remember I went to Dick's Sporting Goods just to like browse. I've been planning on getting a Ruger 222 as soon as I can like get my mom off the back because she's she's very conservative, but she just hates the idea of having guns in the house. So it's like as long as I'm living here, I'm not going to get one. But I was just browsing at Dick's, and the guy said to me, according to state law, you can't have a magazine with more than 10 rounds in it. I need to look it up and see if that's true, because it is a fucking bullshit. But,
I think that might be the case in your state, but it sure isn't in mine.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Like, you guys want to do your own fucking thing there in Texas.
Oh, I'm not in Texas anymore, but I used to be. I'm in Washington. But
even better. No, I don't know. Is Washington liberal or conservative?
It's really, really conservative, except for Seattle.
Well, it's like almost every major city is like
insufferably delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
just the people in most cities are fucking wacko.
You're saying a 1022 is what you're looking at?
Yeah, because I'm a small guy and I don't really like.
Oh, you don't have to justify it. I bought one on Wednesday.
What?
I have one, son. I have one.
I'm a small guy, and I don't like loud noises. I went to a shooting range for the very first time for my birthday this year. Very first time I handled a real gun, and like I liked the 10, well, I didn't use a 1022. Then I used a Savage bolt action. But I think the guy next to me was like firing 9mm. I think it was a 9mm. It was so loud to me, like I kept flinching. Like I wasn't scared or anything. I just like the noise made me flinch. It was so loud, and maybe
you're just unaccustomed to it, and you could probably use a little better hearing protection.
You really should.
First time at the range.
I was wearing hearing protection, but yeah, even then it was still very, very loud.
Yeah, but you could probably use a little better than you had. If it wasn't your own, it was probably just worn out too.
Probably.
It kind of depends on where I am. If it's an indoor range, it depends on how their setup is. I used to work at one, and there was a lot of soundproofing inside the building. There was one that I used to go to. Oddly enough, it's actually connected to a pharmacy, which is kind of weird because the sign outside says drugs and guns.
With life and death. Yeah.
Let's see.
That should be that should be a chain in Chicago.
The drawback about how this place was constructed was it was essentially a cement box, and you get a lot. There's virtually nothing in there to absorb the sound. So yeah, you could be on the other side of the range, and it'd be like you're standing next to the guy shooting the rifle, because it bounces off the walls. It's like, and it feels like it's pounding every time somebody fires, because there's nothing there to absorb. That's one of the reasons I don't really prefer shooting there. What I like is outdoor ranges.
Yeah, that's where I'm planning on going next month to try out that AR I just built.
Here's the thing I don't get. Whenever I like see like those security camera videos of like people using like guns for like self-defense situations, like a convenience store or whatever, like how the fuck do they not like completely get disoriented by like the sound of the gun going off? Because I imagine it's very, very loud on its own, but in like inside a building, it's got to be even louder. And the fact they're probably not wearing earphones or hearing protection, I can't believe that like they don't fire the first shot and go, oh Jesus Christ!
Well,
you're fucking bleeding.
In that situation, if you're that focused, you're not paying attention to anything other than the target.
You just got an
adrenaline plays a role there, because once that adrenaline is up, then yeah,
it's just insane how like immune to pain you can be then, or immune to like anything.
When you see movies with people firing their weapons in cars or any kind of enclosed spaces, you got to realize that all those actors are wearing hearing protection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't, like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, actually lost partial hearing in his ear.
I don't know why he did that. That seemed like a pretty dumb decision for him, but whatever. But I remember I was watching a documentary on the Iceman.
The serial killer?
Yeah. He was talking about how one time he was in a car of his buddy who owed him money, and he just got fed up because the guy just kept blowing him off. So he fucking pulled out a gun and just shot the guy right under the chin in the car. And he talked about how his ears kept ringing like for several hours afterwards because of the fact he shot the guy in the car. It was such an enclosed.
Yeah, the sound of the gun. I'm assuming it was a pistol and not a rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
The sound of the gun in that enclosed space is louder than, say, a rock concert. So,
and even with the sound,
not the 38, probably a snubby. Usually, you would keep that in your waistband when you're in a car. That way, you could pull it out easily and put it under the chin.
I really wish, like, see, the thing I've noticed about like most of the anti-gun people is like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like they're like the people who want to ban silence. Well, I shouldn't say silence. They're suppressors. They think like the suppressor is just going to be like, pew, pew, like it's not going to make any noise, but it barely makes it more tolerable.
Yeah, the only time you actually see anything close to that is with a suppressed 22 pistol. I would say subsonic rounds. Possibly long rifle short. Not long rounds. 22 short.
I've seen like the one that really impressed me was the well rod. That World War II gun that they like used for like assassinations and shit. But that gun like was really, really specially designed specifically to be as quiet as possible, and it like had this really sophisticated system of like washers and shit that like would like absorb the sound. Really interesting. You should like look it up. But there's a video of a guy firing a well rod, and you could just barely hear it. Like you could hear like the sound of the action more than the sound of the bullet going off.
Yeah, the way those things are designed is that the escaping gases that are propelling the projectile down the barrel get caught up in these cavities that are inside the suppressor itself. Oddly enough, follow-up shots are quieter than the initial shot.
That's interesting.
The trick I remember from when I was a kid, if you wanted to make it really quiet, you get yourself a 9mm and put the suppressor on the end of it. And then on the end of the suppressor, you slide a 2-liter bottle of soda over it, an empty bottle, and you duct tape it around it.
You can use car oil filters. You can there's all sorts of ways to suppress noise, but
yeah.
None of them are convenient, but there are ways to do it, and none of them are even remotely related to actual suppressors.
I'd imagine it's a lot less expensive because you have to pay like that tax. Like, was it $200?
$200 tax stamp and ATF hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah, another
thing that people don't realize about suppressors is that if you're not using subsonic ammo, once that bullet leaves the barrel, it's going to hit supersonic speed and make a big crack anyway.
Yeah, like the whip, the sound of a whip.
I think, what is it, 995 FPS? That's the sweet spot you want to shoot for with the ammo you're using with a suppressor. Otherwise, you get the crack, right?
Yeah, you want to keep it just below Mach 1.
Yeah.
But another thing that they talk about is the assault rifle, which is stupid because the AR-15 is not an assault rifle.
AR doesn't even stand for assault rifle; it stands for Armalite rifle.
Yeah, well, yeah, but for it to be an assault rifle, it has to have the capability of going full auto.
Right.
For that, it would need to be an M16 or something like that, and you can't get one of those unless it's made prior to 1986, or if you have a machine gun dealer's license, and even in
FFL3,
you spend hundreds of dollars to go through all kinds of legal loops.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking thousands at that point because you still have to get your FFL, which is an absolutely miserable experience to try to get.
So
FFL 3 is it's basically it's one of those things that you can't really accomplish without being extremely determined and devoted to nothing but getting that.
And it helps if you know a lot of politicians. Yeah,
you pretty much need to. It's basically the only reason it even exists is so that they can claim that it isn't an entire that the NFA isn't an entire infringement upon your right to keep arms. It's just a step, according to them, which is absolute bullshit.
There was that petition a while ago to repeal the NFA.
I signed it.
Nice.
I don't think it's going to do anything, but
it won't. But I still signed it.
I really hope Trump, at the very least, like he gets rid of the fucking tax stamp for suppressors, and I see. I don't really see the need for a machine gun as much. Like I always saw them as kind of a range toy. But
it depends on what you're doing with it.
Well, I mean, like it's harder to shoot accurately from full auto, you know.
Right, and if you're defending Normandy against D-Day, it's a great tool. But if you're using it for going to the range and trying to get 5 and a dime, you're not going to pull that off.
Ain't gonna happen. It's one thing to be shooting at a transport, and it's another to be shooting at a target.
See, that's one of the things when that guy in Vegas, I'm not going to say that piece of shit's name, when that guy in Vegas was shooting with the bump stock, they're saying, oh, look how this bump stock made him able to kill more people. I was like, no.
Bump stock saved so many lives.
It's actually a good thing he used the bump stock. If he had been shooting semi-auto, actually like aiming at people, he probably could have killed a lot more people than he did.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the fact he just sprayed and prayed meant that his shots are going all over the place.
The reports are that most of the shots went straight over the heads of the crowd, which is what a bump stock will do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want these idiots using bump stocks. That's, if anything, going to save more lives. It's going to kill.
and even if they banned bump stocks or even if they regulated them, I've heard there's ways to like replicate it. Like you can like loop a belt around.
It's actually technically the opposite. But the bump stock is created to replicate what people were already doing with their belt loops.
Or you can just hold your finger still and like move the gun back and forth against your finger.
The only people who bump are these idiots that go out to the middle of nowhere and just waste a lot of money on ammo. And you see him on YouTube going, "Ooh, wow, fun, fun, fun." Well, yeah, he just blew how many hundreds of dollars on ammunition doing that stupid stuff.
Hey, these people having less money to work with makes me happy.
Oh, yes.
What do you guys think of the NRA?
NRA, not a fan.
They could be worse.
They could be worse. I'm not a fan. I'm more of a fan of gun owners of America.
Yeah, I agree.
I heard that's the bigger one now.
I'm gonna end up having to have a membership mainly because it's required for a range that's so privately owned that's nearby and one of the better outdoor ranges around here. But I'm not joining them because of NRA.
I've been an NRA member and I did not renew my membership.
I'm planning on GOA and I'm planning on maintaining GOA. The other one is just so I can get to a certain range.
If Charlton Heston was alive, he'd be sad.
He would be.
Because they kind of did pry it out of his cold, dead hands.
Well, I heard
that was his offer, and they took him up on it.
Elites.
What's that?
I heard the NRA has always kind of been like for elite gun owners only. Really, I'm not sure how true that is. Like I watched this guy called the Yankee Marshal, and he's like been a really, really big critic against the NRA. And like one of them,
he's the guy that dances around with his Glock.
Yeah, he's
trying to feed it peanut butter.
I think he's like kind of like, I don't want to say he's a troll, but he's definitely like a trash talker, you know. But like he was saying, like he thinks the NRA puts profit over principle, that they try to like create issues and like then fight for the issue in a way that they can make a profit, and then like once they make the profit, they'll just leave, and whether or not the issue's actually been resolved or not.
Well,
I heard
I know I'm not too up, I guess, on what's been going on with them recently. But I remember when that son of a bitch Cuomo put all that shit through a few years ago. They were here, up in arms fighting him tooth and nail. I mean, still went through, but at least, people tried. So, but I haven't heard what's been going on recently.
They're a good source of information if you're trying to keep up with things. But yeah, they're a flawed organization for sure.
Have you seen?
Damn it!
Have you seen that commercial that they did where like they had that macho guy going, "So what's to stop an Arab terrorist tomorrow from just going out in Times Square and fucking setting off a bomb? That issue is on the president's desk every day." I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Well, a guy did try, and the cops did their job, and they did stop him. But
it would have happened a lot faster if people in the park had been armed.
Well, see, yeah. I think it makes sense, but like some of it does sound kind of fear-mongering-ish type shit, I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that that's like a real problem, but like I can see why some people would think that.
Well, I'll tell you personally, by me, I'd love to see it if we could arm everybody. We wouldn't have anywhere near the problems we have now.
I mean, as a New Yorker, Scooby, do you like every day like worry that some random fucking packy is gonna fucking do something in your city and like blow something up or?
No,
Like, is it
actually,
everyday
that's
life?
not something that worries me too much. Is let me actually like break it down for you real quick, man. Like my sister's husband's Jordanian, and my nephew's wife is an Albanian Muslim. There's a lot of Muslims in my neighborhood, and one of them said to me a few months ago, he goes like this to me. He goes, you know, Scoob, I want to level it, man. He said, you know, I got 3 kids. He said, I'm working 2 jobs. He said, never, you know, during the day, he's like, I got to stop what I'm doing. He said, you know, I have to like close everything up so I can pray. He said, I got a lot that I got to do here. He said, and the last thing I want to do is, you know, Friday I got to go to the mosque for service. I don't want to be up there praying and have to worry about some wild-eyed son of a bitch in their basement, you know, making pipe bombs. A lot of the Muslims that live here are terrified of these people. That's the reason they came to New York. You know, they came to America in general to get away from these people. So that's not really a fear that we have here.
It's funny because sorry.
No, I was going to say the big fear that I have as a New Yorker are the organized kids about your age, you know, the college age kids who are completely insane, who are going around in packs attacking people for their political beliefs. That's actually what I'm afraid of right now in the streets.
The Black Brigades?
Not even. A lot of them are just fat, topless feminists with blue buzz cuts.
So let me ask
you. I've been attacked by probably more scantily clad, thick, ugly women in the past 2 years than I have been by any other form of assailant in probably the past 10. It's mind-boggling. They're crazy.
Yeah, if it's anything that they're more angry at than the patriarchy, it's sit-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. You bite me off.
So the greatest enemy of feminism isn't the patriarchy, it's walking.
And like learning how to actually punch. Like a lot of them like do that little.
I would say the biggest enemy of the black bloc, though, is their felony convictions, keeping them from actually being credible.
And from getting like actual like dangerous weapons legally.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you see that one video Steven Crowder did about like where they like got Not Gay Jared to like have a hidden camera and pretend to join an Antifa group, and they were talking about like buying like a bunch of knives and shit.
Yeah.
And they ended up turning that into the police because it was a really fucking sketchy shit. But yeah, like see that's the thing. Like at first I thought they were a bunch of like cowards, and like once you tear their mask off, they'll run away. But now they're actually starting to like use weapons and shit, like that bike block guy.
Well, that was early in the year. That's not even far in the past.
Well, I mean, relatively speaking, like when was the Battle of Berkeley? Was that this year? I forget.
That was this year. That was early this
year. Okay. Like
February, I think.
I mean, like they can be violent, but the amount of like I haven't seen them like use guns and stuff, you know. But I'm wondering if they're actually going to start trying to do that. The only reason I'd see them not doing it is because a lot of them are liberal, so they're probably going to be anti-gun. But I can imagine like one day, just one of them's going to like get a gun from like an alleyway and decide to pop someone in the back of the head, you know. And then like that, then it's going to be an even more like violent fucking thing.
Oh man. Well, I had said years ago. And now, because of all the shit that they have, the solution, like for around here by me, Fitbits. Everyone has a jawbone, and everyone has a phone. I said, "Fuck it, just hook the smartphones up to the, you know, like all of that shit that they carry on them." But we have to do a background check. Yeah, you know what? Here, hook the gun up to my phone. That way, if I don't check out, you can lock the fucking thing, find out where I am, and come arrest me. That way you can literally take the shit out of there the same day. Within a month, we'd have no more crime.
You know, that I understand what you're saying as far as the electronic lockouts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I could build an EMP pulse generator in about 3 hours.
It's not just that. People are fucking terrified of the idea of like the government's gonna like create some type of virus that will like automatically shut down your gun, so it won't work if they decide to fucking take us over. Like, there was like I think it was Colt tried doing that. They like tried to create a device where there would be a electronic lock on a pistol, and it would be controlled by a little electronic ring that you'd wear around your finger. And like I think the idea was like if the ring and the ring in the finger and the ring
if it was more than 6 inches away, it wouldn't fire.
It to work. Yeah. And like people like lost their fucking shit, and like Colt immediately like fucking pulled the product out. But there's actually laws. I think New Jersey has a law where once electronic guns become like mainstream, then like regular guns will become like outlawed.
Didn't somebody defeat that device using a pair of magnets?
Yeah, there was some kid, I forget his name, but like he launched like a whole campaign about how he wanted to design a smart gun, and like he even got like the daughter of like one of the victims of the Columbine shootings to like be in one of his videos. And I don't know where that project has gone, but I seriously am skeptical about whether or not his concept won't be any better than the ones that have already been suggested. Like, I think it's a clever idea, but there's just too much like reasons to be afraid of it. Like afraid of it not being abused or not working right.
The thing is, New York City, specifically the 5 boroughs, fall under the Federal Port Authority jurisdiction. So the laws within the 5 boroughs, and unfortunately the surrounding areas, which is where I live, actually fall under federal stipulations similar to the District of Columbia. That's part of the reason I was saying, I'm not talking about doing this for like a nationwide thing. I'm saying specifically here within the city limits, if they would do this program, so much to help clean up the problems that we're having here. Because
I still wouldn't want that precedent.
What you guys need to do,
I wouldn't either.
What you guys need to do is make it easier for people to get concealed carry permits, because that's like one of the biggest problems with guns in New York City. Is the only way you can get a concealed carry is if you're wealthy or if you have political connections.
Correct. And part of the problem is also, we had talked about this a few weeks ago. For you to get screened is at earliest, it's usually about 72 hours. It takes maybe a couple of days at the most. And New York State decides they'll make you wait anywhere from a year to 36 months, depending on their humors. I was saying, like, I'm agreeing with you that they should definitely upgrade the laws to make it so that anyone can carry, you know, if there's no reason they shouldn't be carrying, then they should be permitted to carry. With the waiting periods, and they're going to do all that shit. I was talking about doing something like this as a sibling program that would run alongside it as a fast track. Just, you know, I'm not saying like do the smart guns and only smart guns in the boroughs. I'm saying offer it as a fast alternative, because somebody like me, yeah, I'll go and fill out all the paperwork to get whatever I could. But if they have like, yeah, well, if you get this one model and do a smart gun program, you can leave with it today. I'm going to do that while I'm waiting for the other shit to clear anyway. That's what I'm saying.
But you know, I'll be right.
They could make that a gateway to actual normal concealed carry.
Yeah,
right,
maybe.
Exactly.
What I would worry though is that once they implemented it, they would stick with it. You
exactly.
have to be a keep.
Right. That's why I oppose it. I'm just saying in the areas where it is, it would be a nice alternative, but at the same time, I don't want to propose it because I think that they need to strike down the crap that's holding it up regular now.
And I think like another thing unrelated is they need to get rid of that law in New Jersey. I think it's in other states too, to like say once smart guns become commercially viable, then all other guns will become illegal. I think we need to get rid of that.
But considering the Second Amendment exists for overthrowing the government, I think that is basically not going to fly.
It's also interesting that a lot of the people who are anti-gun have no problem having armed security guards around them at all times.
Or the ones that think Trump is literally Hitler but want to make sure he has a monopoly on guns by putting gun control in place.
And another interesting thing is I think Louis C.K. was the one who said Trump is literally Hitler, and look at how fucking look at his moral guidelines. But yeah.
But yeah, the Second Amendment does not exist to protect your right to hunt deer.
And it doesn't exist just so you can own muskets.
No, it has nothing to do with muskets. In fact, there were ways to have multi-fire at the time.
Yep. The puckle gun was one of them.
Yep.
There were private-owned cannons at the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think having like an artillery, I think I said this before, having an artillery piece might be a little excessive, but I think like regular small arms are fine.
I think carrying your artillery on a regular basis, that's excessive.
Yeah,
I don't really have a problem with people owning it.
Get like a Flak 88, like German Flak 88, and just like put it on a chiller and chill it behind you in your truck with you every day.
Yeah,
I knew a guy actually lived down in, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Okeechobee. And it was one of my cousin's uncles. And this crazy son of a bitch had gotten his hands on old riverboat monitors, the ironclads. You know what I'm talking about? The ironclad riverboats, yeah. And it was one of the smaller ones. I forget which one it was. And he had actually rigged an old Chicago piano on it. You know what I'm talking about?
But a stand-up?
Okay. The stand-up, I think it's, what was it, 16 barrels to that thing? And he was not like heavy shells. He would just during the 4th. He would go up and down the Everglades, wherever the hell he lived, firing that friggin' thing off. Obviously, it wasn't shells. It was just like starburst rounds and powder and shit. Imagine this friggin', literally, the way he described it to me, he's like this wizened old redneck sitting there with his huge white beard in his rocking chair on the deck, waiting this shit off, going up and down like 2 miles an hour up and down the river. That's part of the thing I tell people all the time. That's the reason I don't want New York to replace this country. I like shit like that, man.
I do too.
Yeah, 90-year-old redneck in a friggin' armored friggin' boat shooting off friggin' cannons on the 4th of July.
What I like
You'll have a heart attack.
Is those stories of like the shop owner with the AR-15 stopping like 3 armed robbers trying to break into his store, where that guy who had an AR-15 killed. Well, remember that story about that guy who killed those like 3 homeowners or home invaders that came to his house? He killed all 3 of them with an AR. And the dad of one of the robbers who was killed tried to sue the guy by saying that the AR-15 gave him an unfair advantage.
Yes.
That was fucking hilarious. I really hope that case got thrown out. I'm sure it did. But
I think the best thing I read,
yeah,
the best thing I read was probably about like maybe, I don't know, guy thought that he heard an intruder in his house, so he had a Glock. And he goes downstairs into his kitchen. It's a fucking grizzly. It's a Kodiak. This damn thing rears up. It's like 9 foot tall. About maybe, I think he said he was 12 feet away from it. And he concentrated the whole thing. He said, I just fired where I figured its heart would be and just unloaded the clip. Killed.
What caliber was
That's
it?
impressive. I think it was a 9mm, which amazed me. He put, I think he said in the article, it was, what was it? That's a 16-round clip, right?
Something like it.
If I was up against a bear and all I had was a 9mm, I would back off.
Well, you
I would run.
you emptied the clip, so I'd imagine.
I would go back upstairs and get animal control out there or get something bigger.
Yeah.
But he shot it so many times, you figured it would at least hurt the thing enough to keep it from charging you.
Was he too big to get up the staircase and get at him?
You know what it is? They had an illustration in it too, and it looked like the thing was in the doorway, and there was a center island between the bear and him.
Oh, that would help.
Yeah.
Bears
So
are a lot faster than people give them credit for, though.
Oh God!
well,
yeah.
what had happened was it had its nose in the trash, and he came into the kitchen and startled it, and it reared up. And the minute it reared up is when he opened fire. So I'm guessing the bear was coming up to the, like it was coming to stand, coming up on all twos. And when it was rearing up on its hind legs, I guess he just said "fucking." I'm guessing the guy. I'm thinking he was an off-duty cop, so that's probably why he probably just trained the gun with both hands and just, from what I read, I think he had the thing loaded with hollow points. Central mass blew the fucking thing's heart out its back. So I'm amazed. I'm thinking
he didn't hit the heart. No, he hit lungs, if anything.
Yeah.
Sternum on a bear is.
Well, how big is the heart on one of those things?
The sternum on a bear is like shooting at a granite slab.
Well, then this guy was damn lucky.
Yeah.
I read that and I was actually shocked. I was saying to myself, wow, if my father was still alive, I'd like to show him the article. He'd probably start screaming it was bullshit.
Sounds like suicide by bear to me.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought it up, because I read this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I forget. I think it was in like Guns and Ammo or something. It wasn't like, this isn't like something I read in Rolling Stone. And, the other thing of it was, like, when I was a kid, my father always used to refer to 9mm as a lady's caliber. So, look, I wasn't, he said, why the hell? He used to say to me, he's like, why would you buy, because I wanted a Glock when I was a younger man. He said, why would you want a 9mm? Why do you want to shoot the same perp twice?
What did he think was a man's round, is what I want to know.
Probably a 45.
Yeah, 45.
Oh, wasn't it 357?
Nah, 45.
He'd probably settle for a 44, but...
The thing about a 45 is that it's a big heavy bullet, but also moves kind of slowly.
Yeah.
If you want to really do damage, and
makes a hell of an exit wound.
It kind of does, yes.
My father was the type, he liked a revolver and he liked wad cutters.
The interesting thing about wad cutters is that wad cutters were originally designed as for target shooting, because it would leave a clean hole as opposed to a sort of a ragged hole that a lot of other types of bullets. The thing, when you look at a wad cutter, it's actually sort of recessed. The lead projectile is kind of like a soda can. It has a flat front and it's recessed inside, and it's like let's say you had like a push pop, but it's not. You haven't pushed the pop up yet. It's still in the cardboard sleeve. That's essentially what a wad cutter is.
Yeah, I know. Entry wound like a D battery, exit wound like a chicken pot pie.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a very interesting round. I've seen some good arguments for them being used as self-defense rounds.
That does a lot of damage to a person too. That's yeah. It's actually a little bit on the cruel side to use wad cutters.
One thing I do like about anything that produces more damage to whoever you're shooting at is it gives them less of an opportunity for a civil suit for violating their constitutional rights.
Yeah.
Because if they die, it's really hard for someone else to actually say you violated their civil rights unless you actually did. But if they're that one suing, they can make all kinds of bullshit arguments and oftentimes win.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking into those new rip rounds myself.
Those are
sorry, what's smart? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Smart was saying something. I talked over him.
Isn't there like a group or an organization that's supposed to help people like defend against civil suits for like wrongful death and shit? When
that's the theory, but I don't want to put my life in their hands.
Oh God, no.
Here's an interesting round. It's called an ARX, and it's put out by Ruger. This particular one is in .40 caliber. This is really interesting material that this stuff is made out of. They call it, let's see, blah, 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 alloy polymer matrix. Have you heard the term frangible?
I have.
Essentially, what this does is it fragments as soon as it hits. At least that's what I've come to understand about it.
Nice.
Get a little closer look.
You seen the rip rounds yet? 6?
I have seen those. Those are very interesting. Essentially, if Smurt isn't familiar with what it is it's the round itself is a system of very loosely they call them petals, brass petals, and what they do when they hit the target is they separate from the base of the projectile and spread out like that, kind of like a shotgun, except for when it actually travels as a unit, and once it hits the target, it does that.
Yeah.
Sounds
Daisy.
Yeah.
Those are copper tips, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about the Mini 14?
The Ruger Mini 14, aka the Ranch Rifle, aka the Coyote Slayer. It's something that I'm well familiar with growing up in Texas. Most of the ranchers I ever knew growing up had at least one, sometimes two. It's an interesting alternative to like an AR-15. It has a few limitations, which doesn't make it as appealing as, say, your average AR-15, but it's still a pretty damn decent rifle. It had sort of a slow burn reputation because at the beginning, Ruger was kind of building these things on a budget, so the actions were made from flimsier parts, as well as the barrel, which is also thinner. Which when you fire a 223 projectile, a high-speed projectile like a 223, through a barrel that's too thin, is it has a tendency to oscillate back and forth, and will throw off your aim. So in later versions, in about the mid-1980s on forward, Ruger has a thicker barrel. So you don't want to get one. You don't want to get a vintage one from the 1970s. You want to get something that's, I would say, you're safest looking for one that was produced probably in the 1990s on forward.
Because I was thinking, yeah, it would be kind of cool to do something different from an AR, because it seems like everyone gets a fucking AR. You know?
There's actually quite a few alternatives to the AR. The reason why the AR-15 is so popular is that it's relatively inexpensive. I just posted a video about the AR-18 platform.
Yeah.
It was originally conceived as a lower cost alternative to the AR-15 platform that Armalite came up with to sell to developing countries that don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, I heard about it. Didn't they don't they not make it anymore? I heard it flopped when they sold it on the commercial market.
It was not a big seller. There are modern-ish versions. There's a sort of a newer version of it with a polymer receiver. I haven't heard much about that. I know it exists, but I don't really have a lot to say about it. Let's see. There's yeah. If you're looking for something in the 223 caliber and you don't want an AR-15 style rifle, you actually do have a lot of choices now.
There's a Galil.
Yeah, there's the Galil. There's the Tavor. There's the Scar. If you have the cash to drop on that.
Well, let me ask you this: how bad is the recoil on the noise compared to like
It's still a 223.
Yeah.
So is 223 much better? Like, I know it's more powerful, but is it like as like hard shooting as it's? I don't know how to phrase this right, but is it like more?
How's the recoil basically?
22.
Let me show you. I'm gonna actually get you an example of a 223 and a 22.
Because I saw a video of a guy where he like held an AR with one hand and put the stock up against his nose and fired it, and it didn't even like hurt his nose at all. So it seems like
you have to be careful about how you balanced it and what your ammo load was before attempting that one.
Oh yeah, I did see another video where a guy like took a hunting rifle and he held it out in front of like so the stock was right in front of his face.
I'll be right back.
I advise not doing it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, he was just trying to prove a point about it was right after that journalist guy made that article about how he got PTSD from firing an AR-15.
Oh please!
Is this from the same news station where they called a shotgun an AR-15?
I did not hear that, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. He was full of shit, but I know who you're talking about.
The guy making the video was like responding to that, like, oh, it's like he was trying to say, look, this guy's full of shit. Look how easy it is to shoot an AR with one hand in front of your nose. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that loud. It's not that powerful. As the guy made it out to be.
Yeah. Well, he's right to call him out on his bullshit, but you would have to be really cognizant of how much powder was in your ammo, what grain you were shooting, what your buffer was like, and you'd be doing a bunch of test firing to make sure everything was balanced just right. Because as someone who just finished an AR build, I know when I get it out to the range, I may end up having to do a little more tweaking to it because I did in fact do a build and it's not just out of the store, which means I spec'd it mostly mechanically speaking off the Canadian C7A2, which is to say a carbine stock on a 20-inch barrel. And that means I had to go with a heavier buffer to counteract the gas system from a full-length rifle, which means a heavier buffer than your standard short barrel carbine. So as long as he knows his rifle and knows what he's doing, yeah, I can see him pulling that off.
Mm-hmm.
The last AR I fired, it was exactly like you're describing. You pull the trigger and you're like, oh, the only reason I know it went is because I was the only one who pulled the trigger right then. I heard it, but I barely felt it. And I'd been firing a 1022 all morning at that point. And there was very little difference between the two. If anything, the AR was actually less recoil than the 1022.
Really?
It was a really nice AR though. So I can't speak to any others because, like I said, I just built mine. I have not had an opportunity to take it out yet. I would have taken it out tomorrow, but the range is closed because it's run by a volunteer organization. And they want to be with their families, and I respect that.
Here is the AR-15. This one is produced by Eagle Arms. And I would say, just given the weight of the weapon, that it will actually absorb a lot of the recoil that is produced by the 223 round. I would say this is I couldn't say how.
Can you point at the buffer tube for me real quick? I'm going to explain the buffer.
All right. You want it assembled or disassembled?
No, just point at it. You can show them your buffer if you really, really want to break it open, but I was just going to explain to them what's inside of it.
All right.
So
it's a big black scary gun, by the way.
The big black scary gun. They're all big black and scary, man.
Yeah.
Just like in real life.
But yeah, as you can see, it comes apart very easily. It's designed for that. So,
fuck. Myself in the knee. Okay. Here's your charging handle. Now this comes out with your bolt carrier group. This is what this is here. So be careful when you're taking this thing down, because you have to put this exactly back together. The way that
also known as General Mattis's lightsaber.
Yeah. It's back in there.
So, yeah, what he just showed you goes back into that tube. You saw how his stock is.
Yeah.
That tube comes out of the back of the it comes out of the back of the lower receiver, but inside of it is a spring and a weighted buffer. And so the bolt carrier group pushes back because the front, you see the front on the right hand side, that's where the cartridge goes, and the gas tube is on the top. And so that's all gas operated.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the gas tube. And that group pushes back when you fire from the gas system, and the buffer comes in different weights, and you kind of have to adjust it to your setup. And there's a spring, and the weighted buffer push back into the stock or collapsible stock tube, depending on what setup you have. Yeah. So it comes out that hole he's showing us right now into yeah, because that's where that'll be in the bolt carrier group will be inside the hole, and inside here you see that big round flat thing. That is the buffer. Those come in multiple weights, and you know, you can get various qualities of spring as well to go in there, depending on who you're buying from. Yeah. And that will absorb a fair amount of your recoil as well, because that's where your bolt carrier group is going. Because when you have it's basically Einstein's physics, you know, going on. You've got you've got the action and the reaction. You've got everything pushing back against that you know, and every part of that's not being absorbed, every part of that's not going into the motion is going into you instead. Yeah. So you see this forward assist, yeah. Yeah, you see this forward assist thing? So what this is for is sometimes when you're out in the field and there may be a little bit of like grit or obstruction inside here that is preventing the round from seating properly in this feed ramp, or this part. There, that little star-shaped part meets up with, there's another star-shaped part right there. That's where the feed ramp is. And along the side here, you see that sawtooth? Yeah. What the forward assist does is it latches on to these little sawtooths here. You push it and keep pushing it and keep pushing it, and this will push essentially the round back into battery is the terminology. It will push it forward into battery if it's having any kind of issue doing that. Let's see.
How long have you had that particular gun?
This, I've had it about 6 years. And I should clean it more often. Let me show you.
Oh my God, is that?
I think that's typical of most people.
Yeah. The trick is getting a stupid charging handle in here. Yeah.
The fun fact, the biggest reason that the M16 got a reputation early on for jamming is because Colt and Armalite, basically the groups trying to sell it to the Army initially, tried to sell it as maintenance free, and so the Army didn't buy any cleaning kits.
Yeah, they said it was self-cleaning, right? And then
I hate putting this thing back in.
We also said
that's the worst part. That's the part I hate the most, putting mine together, is getting the carrier group in there with the charging handle.
Chrome barrels, which are supposed to protect against corrosive ammunition, but the original ones were not issued with the chrome barrels. So the ammunition just clogged up the barrel. But
as you can already tell, I don't take this thing apart nearly as much as I should. And I certainly don't clean it nearly as much as I should. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, before I finally go out, I'm going to do a final check through, clean any dust that's in there from just parts sitting on the shelf and whatnot before I got them, and properly lubricate the parts that require lubrication.
Yeah, the thing that you need to realize about rifles is they're a lot more finicky than pistols when it comes to being clean. Your rifle really needs to be clean in order to work properly. Pistols, there's a lot more tolerance for not being clean and actually firing.
Yeah. Let me stipulate, semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah, semi-automatic rifles.
A bolt action will take whatever you throw at it. It just might have some issues when you really get it nasty.
Like the closest thing, in all honesty, I have done is a Crossman 2100. It's one of those pump guns, the BB pellet gun type thing, and it's like the closest thing I have to a real gun right now.
Closest I had before my AR was actually a Tippmann Pro Light, which is a paintball gun.
Oh.
Before I just borrowed from everybody because I lived in Texas, but I knew I was going to end up back in California for work at some point. Didn't want to have to sell everything.
Like the reason I got I noticed Crossman has a lot of pellet guns that look like real guns, like the M4 and the Scar. And I was thinking about getting those, but like I live in a neighborhood, right? And the last thing I want is to go walking out my backyard with what looks like an M4, and like some neighbor to see me and think I'm like about to go on a fucking killing spree and call the cops on me. So I decided to go with something a little more conservative looking,
I would prefer my neighbors to not even know that I've got it. I prefer that my neighbors just have to speculate.
And honestly, that's partly another reason why I think I want something like the Mini 14 over the AR, because it looks less like, it looks more like a hunting rifle.
Yeah, it looks like something Grandpa would have sitting around.
I'd be less worried about some nosy ass calling cops on me than if I had an AR.
Well, if you put it in a case when you take it in and out of the house and you don't fire it in the backyard, you should be fine. It doesn't matter what they think because they won't see it.
Yeah, this is the...
I like the look of the old wooden metal type too.
Yeah.
This is the 22 long rifle versus the 223.
Are they the same width or?
Well, if you look at the projectile itself, kind of similar in size.
Yeah, they're just longer.
Yeah, the 223 is longer and maybe just a shade thicker. But the real difference is here. That amount of powder versus that amount of powder.
And that's why you're looking at 30 plus cents each versus 6 cents each.
Yeah.
And the top round is a 22, correct?
Yeah, the top one's a 22.
Yes, Smirt, you see that round, the top one, the small one? That round, I actually, a buddy of mine had a 22 pistol and was in the backseat of the car. And if there wasn't a headrest, I'd be dead right now. Got stuck in my skull. I had to go through 8 hours of surgery to get that thing pulled out.
Wait, what the fuck? What happened?
So the 1.6 is showing you right now. 18 years old. Next time I get my hair cut short at the end of the summer, I got to remember I'll take a point to make it a point to take a picture. I'll upload it. You guys can see the scars.
You got shot in the head?
8 hours of surgery. So old, I got shot in the head.
Jesus.
This is a 36 grain. This is 1280 foot per FPS.
I actually have some 22 ammo in my room I can get out, but it's left over from the shooting range.
I'm holding some right now.
Yeah, these are hollow points.
Yeah, mine are too.
But again, the main thing I use is the BBs and pellets. And I think part of that too is because it's just so much less. Even if I did have a real gun, I think it would just be much more convenient to use the pellet BB gun because I can go right in my backyard and shoot those. It costs much less money than like regular ammunition, and it's not as noisy. But
You're 100% right on the whole convenience thing. It's much more convenient to use the backyard.
Like your bayonet lugs.
There's a fucking
this is my AR.
I bought like one of those spinning target things to shoot at, and it fucking broke as soon as I took it out of the package. So I end up just using this fucking bird bath, this metal bird bath in our backyard. I just take pot shots at it and makes a loud dong every time I hit it. So I know or ding, depending on if I hit like the basin area, it makes a dong. But if I hit the base of it, it makes a ding. So it's like, and sometimes I'll try to see if I can find any of the BBs or pellets. And every time I shoot, I find a pellet. It's always like completely flattened. You know.
Well, you are shooting against metal. They're not typically made from the least malleable thing you can find.
Yeah, the pellets are made of lead, and the BBs are made of steel. Like they have warnings plastered all over the. It's like a carton, like a milk carton type thing with the.
I've seen them, yeah. It's got all kinds of warnings on it.
Yeah, like wash your hands, don't touch food, don't touch animals, don't touch your face, anything.
Yeah, it's lead content.
Lead is more poisonous than asbestos.
Asbestos isn't actually poisonous, it'll just give you cancer.
I'd say that goes on the realm of being a poison.
Yeah,
I won't disagree with you on a technical sense. It's just you're not going to poison somebody like in the traditional sense.
I'll rephrase it better. Lead is more harmful than asbestos. It can cause a lot.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
But like that's why they're starting to like make lead free. Well, I think they've started like a while ago, but like it's really becoming more and more popular to have like all copper or polymer ammunition. I think it is polymer.
Yeah,
something like that.
My ammunition is known by the state of California to cause chemical compounds which could cause reproductive harm or cancer.
I've noticed that like a lot. Like I went to the school store once to buy like a comb, and I look at the fucking packaging on the comb, and it says the state of California has analyzed that this product contains chemicals that are likely to cause cancer and birth defects. I'm like, what the fuck? It's just a fucking comb made out of plastic. Why the fuck would this give me cancer? Like
that's Prop 65. Prop 65 considers everything to be harmful.
It's like breathing on someone the wrong way is going to give them cancer.
If you ever spend any time in California, Stan, you will see those signs literally everywhere to the point where they mean nothing. And that's just how it is. It's gotten to the point where nobody pays attention to that because it means nothing.
The Communist Republic of California.
Yeah.
But
Wait, that's the AR you put together. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you. Most of the parts are from Aero Precision, which is here in the area. It's out in Tacoma. The upper and the lower, I bought the upper assembled because I didn't want to seat my first barrel.
That was like an actual M16.
That's more or less what I was going for, except with the stock. I did want adjustable stock on it. So, and that is I didn't buy the bayonet to go with it. I didn't even buy the upper specifically to have bayonet lugs, but when I found out it was, I had to put a picture on there. It'll probably never go on there again, but I had to get a picture.
Oh, did you just replace your profile pic with that, or?
No, I just shared that picture up.
But how do you do that? I want to show my Crossman.
You go into on the left-hand side. Are you on mobile or are you on computer? Okay.
It's a great.
Before you do, I want to show you something. This is the 380 ACP, the 380 automatic Colt pistol. This is what's also referred to as the 9mm short, and I'll show you why. This is a 9mm, and as you'll notice, the projectile is about the same, but we have a shorter casing. That's why it's called the 9mm short in Germany, or 9mm Kurz.
Yeah.
As opposed to the 9mm Luger.
Yeah, and as opposed to the 8 Kurz, which is fun in other ways.
Yeah. And this, of course, is the 45 ACP, which is, as you notice, is a much bigger grained bullet than a 9mm.
Yeah.
So it's a big, heavy projectile. It doesn't. They depending on how hot the load is, they're generally considered a sort of a slower pistol round, but they do a hell of a lot of damage because they're big and heavy, and they self-explanatory.
Yeah, my brother always said it was like shooting a Cadillac at somebody.
Yeah, this is a 357 Magnum. That is a hell of a lot of powder.
Forget, did Elmer Keefe help develop that, or is that just the 44 Magnum? I forget.
So I just did a quick search, and I found out that 8 Kurtz is not as expensive as I was expecting. It's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as I was expecting. We're talking like about $1 a round instead of more than that.
Let me show you the difference between a 357 Magnum and a 38 Special.
Trying to find the damn picture of the. I mean, you can just look it up online.
Doing this, man. He used to work at a gun shop for years.
Yeah.
I mean, my gun. I mean. I mean, it's not even really a gun; it's just an air gun.
Well, I don't actually have one handy, but the one thing you'll notice about the 38 Special is that the casing only comes up to about right there. It's a slightly shorter casing, so it's going to have a lot less powder than the 357 Magnum, which is by far my favorite round to shoot.
Let me ask you, which do you prefer, the 357 Standard or the 357 SIG?
357 SIG is an expensive little round for firearms that are... I have mixed feelings about it. It's a decent enough round, but it doesn't present itself as something that's significantly holds significantly more utility than, say, having either a decently designed 9mm pistol or a 40 caliber. I'm not as familiar with the 357 SIG, but it's not, of course, it's not a 357 Magnum. A lot of people who are new to firearms, they see 357 SIG, they see 357 Magnum. That only really applies to the projectile itself, not the casing.
Right.
So they're very different rounds. So in that sense, you're kind of comparing apples to oranges in that respect. So right. I would have to side with the 357 Magnum as opposed to the 357 SIG. All
right, well, let me ask you this. What about if, depending on the firearm, because I think it was the Smith & Wesson, what was it, the 4002? Basically built around firing the 357 SIG as the preferred ammunition, if I recall. It was big because it was the FBI and the marshals were using it, but I don't think it was very big commercially, if I recall.
I'm not as familiar with that particular one, so I couldn't really.
Stopgap. They only used it in the 90s for a few years until the M&Ps came out. It was a precursor. It was an all. I'm sorry?
What about the 10mm?
10mm is essentially a 40 caliber with a slightly longer casing.
That's what the FBI used after, I think, Miami-Dade.
Right. The way to think of it is, think of it just as the 380 auto is to 9mm, the 40 caliber would be to the 10mm. Yeah. Roughly the same kind of comparison.
9, weren't they? They're finally going back to 9 now. After using 10 for like since 1986, they went back to 9 because they.
Yeah, the 40 caliber was designed in the aftermath of one of the most major FBI shootouts. There was a couple of guys, military trained, that just weren't going down with 9mm. So in order to kind of save face, the FBI, who had opted against the 45 ACP in favor of the 9mm, went to Smith & Wesson to design something along the lines of a 10mm, but for a higher capacity magazine. So that's how the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson came about, as a compromise between the capacity of the higher capacity of a higher capacity magazine and the close to kind of the power stopping power of a 10mm. So essentially what they did was they shortened the case and they stuffed more rounds into a magazine, which they probably could have done with a 10mm, but the problem is the federal agents had trouble controlling the 10mm because it's a hell of a hot round. It's a really fast round. It's one of the faster semi-automatic calibers out there.
Well, one of the things too I heard was that most of the agents that day used revolvers because you could only use a semi-auto gun if you had SWAT training. So I think only a couple of the agents that day actually had semi-autos. Most of them had revolvers.
Yeah, and
that's probably a bureaucratic thing more than anything else.
It usually is basically like the SBR rules are right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and also fun fact, one of the suspects apparently used the Mini 14, which is what I've been talking about.
yeah.
No matter what you find, someone out there has used it for the wrong purposes. Even if you're talking about a screwdriver, someone's been stabbed with it.
Yeah, he was the one, I think, who actually did all the damage. The one with the Mini 14. There were two suspects, and he was the one who did all the stuff.
Well, it's an accurate little rifle. So I speak highly of it. It's a nice, accurate little rifle, and
I mean, I think it makes sense. I think he had training during the Vietnam War, so, and I don't know if at that era they were still using M14s, but
yeah, essentially what the Mini 14 is, it's a shrunken down version of the M14.
It's possible he chose that gun because it was something he was familiar with.
More than likely.
Yeah, it's often the choice. I got a question for you, Six. As someone who likes Walthers, what's your favorite Walther in terms of caliber and type? I have a feeling we're about to see it.
Yeah. That sounds like clasps and buckles getting unfastened.
It does.
Well, you know, the way I was raised, while we're waiting for Six, anyway, while I was raised, I was always taught not to use a semi-auto pistol. I grew up in a revolver household myself. I myself always did prefer a clip gun myself, but
yeah,
you know, with a magazine.
Right.
That's just me.
I kind of have a wheel gun bias.
Oh, what, your Rhino?
No, I have a GP100.
I was interested in getting a Ruger LCR for concealed carry.
Concealed carry.
Like it's, yeah. And because I'm a pussy, I'd probably do a 22.
You probably actually would be better off with a 380. It's a smaller gun. It probably is something that you'd be a lot more comfortable handling. 22 just for target practicing and things of that nature. Well, look, man, I got shot with one of the fucking things in the head, and I was able to actually turn around and strangle the kid before I blacked out. So,
what I have a question about that. Was it like a graze, or did it actually penetrate your skull?
Oh no, it penetrated my skull and was stuck in it. If there wasn't a headrest pushing against it, if there wasn't a headrest between me and if there wasn't a headrest behind my head, I probably wouldn't be here right now. The headrest slowed it up.
I mean, that is pretty fucked up. But I did hear if you get shot in the head with a 22, what can happen is I'm not sure this is entirely true, but apparently it doesn't have enough energy to go through the other side of the skull, but it still has energy to move, so it'll ricochet on the inside of the skull and cause more damage in the brain.
Yeah, that's why it's called the assassin's bullet.
What?
That's why it's called the assassin's bullet.
The Israeli Mossad are most notorious for using the 22 short because it's easy to silence suppress a 22 short, and for subsonic ammo, it's very quiet because you don't break the sound barrier, and it has that quality like Scooby was just talking about.
I think Sirhan and John Hinckley Jr. both used 22s for their assassination. Well, in the case of Hinckley, assassination attempt. But they both used 22s, and I think the only reason Kennedy died was because he was shot in the head. If he hadn't been shot in the head, he probably would have lived. And Reagan, he didn't even realize he was shot until they got him to the hospital. He thought he broke his rib when they shoved him in the limo. So he didn't even feel the fact he'd been shot.
Here is the Walther PPKS. It is chambered in 380 auto. It uses a blowback design, which means I'll show you what I mean.
Are you 007?
Yeah, essentially. I'll show you what blowback is. Let's see.
Make sure it's unloaded.
Yeah. Unloaded. So to take these things down, you take the trigger guard up here, you move it to the side ever so, and move the slide back. It's got a lot of tension in the spring, so you got to be careful here. I usually use gloves whenever I do this part because there's a lot of sharp edges here. And you lift this up. I always have trouble with this. Okay, and then it is so. I just cleaned this thing so it is greasy as hell.
You did it right.
Yeah, I did it right. Yeah.
Overall, what do you think of the Walther PPK compared to other guns of that
It's a different experience. It's a different experience. I have an example. Here's a polymer 9mm. This one is the Kel-Tec P11. It's a double stacked 10-round 9mm. The difference I would say is probably the weight. This is a heavier, all steel framed firearm. So this particular design has its origins, I think, back in the 1930s. This one here is a modern polymer frame firearm. This is my concealed carry.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awesome. I like the sights on this thing too.
Ooh, those are actually cool.
Yeah.
You should get the glow in the dark, or is that just?
They're just really bright white.
Okay.
If I wanted to spring for glow in the dark sights, I'd probably get those. It has a really heavy trigger. I would assume it's probably about an 11-pound trigger. That kind of acts as the safety because when you're this is a double action only, so you're pulling against a lot of tension there.
Right.
God knows how many
For
videos.
carry, I'm actually okay with that idea.
Yeah.
There's like God knows how many like instances of like people shooting themselves in the ass or the dick because the trigger was too sensitive and it just set it off while it was in their pants. Don't want that.
All right, you're
Don't
gonna
want that at all.
take this thing down if it kills me. Probably might. If the spring fires up and hits me in the eye, then I'll probably. Yeah. So I will wait to get some of this gunk off. Dang. So that's another thing that you kind of have to expect with a blowback. Essentially, what a blowback is that the barrel is fixed in position as opposed to floating. So essentially, there's the barrel is fixed into the frame itself. It doesn't move. And it uses the blowback from both the expanding gases and this the spring that's in here to move that back and forth into battery. So that's essentially how that works. Now let me put this away. And I'll show you what a floating barrel design is. This is the Walther P99 in .40 caliber. And this takes down much like a Glock does. It has a little thing right there that you pull down. And the trigger. And out comes the slide that has the barrel in it. And of course, you take out spring, barrel slides right out.
Okay.
So it's a let's see. It's the guide rod there. And goes back on like so. So that's the difference between blowback and not blowback.
Cool.
So let me get this back apart again. Okay, so you saw how, oh gosh, turn this thing off again. Come on, camera. Turn it back on. Camera. No, I don't want you on. Go away, Siri. Go away. All right. There we go. Camera. There we go. Okay, so in a blowback design, the barrel actually sits here. It does not move. This design, the barrel is actually contained in the slide itself.
And you say you like that one better, or you carry that one and like the other one better?
I kind of like the blowback a little better because there's a difference in recoil. It feels different. And
okay.
I started off shooting pistols that were older and had the blowback design. I consider these a little newfangled for me.
Yeah.
But I do like this. This is a really awesome This and the PPQ are probably some of the nicest pistols I've ever fired. I like this one because it has a decocker in the back here. You just press a button, and the little button here, as you're going to see, it's not there now, as the travel is very slight to actually get it back into battery. There you go. And there it is now. And it will disappear when you press this button. So it's decocked. And I also like this staged trigger, so you can, when it's back in battery, you can actually stage it to single action.
Nice.
But you got to be careful with it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And decock, and back in the box. So that was your tutorial to the differences in some of these firearms. And now I got to wash the GSR off my hands again. That's about the only drawback with a PPKS is actually taking the darn thing down. It takes a bit of muscle to do it. And it's kind of embarrassing because it's sort of a smallish gun. But yeah. So am I still presenting to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Camera off. This time actually turn off. There we go. Technology.
Technology.
There we go.
Have you seen that video where that guy was carrying around a sign that said technology and he was like scaring people by like shouting technology and like startled?
I got to see that one.
I need to go to bed soon. I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, I'm getting there myself.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm about to have to drop off. It's getting late. I say from the
Wash my
West Coast.
hands. Be right back.
Oh, another reason why I stopped using that spinning target thing is because I noticed when I was shooting it with pellets, especially if I was shooting it from like a closer range, if I shot it from a certain angle, not the BB, the pellet would whiz right next to my face. Like I could hear them whistling past my face.
Yeah, that's a really good time not to be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to wash the GSR off my hands. That's something that that's my cat talking. She's saying hello to everybody. Yeah, GSR is something you don't want to. As soon as you get done firing at the range, you wash your hands without fail. There's a lot of carcinogens that are in gunshot residue.
And
cautionary tale. I was in a shooting club when I was still in school, and the guy that was the faculty member that was put in charge to run that shooting club. I think just a few years after I graduated, he actually passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
And he was an avid shooter. He was a frequent shooter. And, there's some people are more susceptible to that kind of thing than others. But that's what ended up happening to him. And I don't know if that was the main cause of it. Maybe it was just like he was just genetically predisposed for that sort of thing. But that's certainly not something that you want to be having on your hands when you leave the when you leave the range. You don't want to have that on your hands.
Right.
It's not just that; it's also like a courtesy to other people. Like you don't know if like maybe you'll touch something that someone else will touch.
Right. And yeah, you don't want to go to the range and not wash your hands and end up driving to Burger King or something like that, and eating a bunch of GSR, and that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, I'll leave that to the military guys to do in the field where they have to.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, gentlemen. It is we're well over the hour at this point. It's 2:00.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna go to bed.
But
Yeah.
it was show and tell with 6, and I didn't want to interrupt. So
Yeah.
I always have fun.
Hey,
doing that.
The only thing missing was Irving.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hit Irvin up again tomorrow. I'm a little worried about him. Usually he hits me back, and I haven't heard from the guy in a few days. Hope he's okay.
He'll do that from time to time.
No, I'll see you later.
It's a Canadian thing.
Good
must-
night, guys.
Good night, Smirt.
Take it
Good
easy.
night,
man.
Smart. Have a good
There's
night, man.
Smart.
He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Smart as hell for a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's going to school to be a history teacher.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, really cool.
We could
Not
use a
that hard.
few more to teach actual history.
It's not
Yeah,
that hard to
seriously.
come off as smart against most 19-year-olds, though.
Oh man,
But no, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
he is definitely. Hey, as long as I look at it this way, he's a young guy. If he wants to hang out with a bunch of old men, keep himself out of trouble, fine. Let him hang out with us. Got no problem with that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna kill this. You guys want to go through really quick? Give yourselves a quick chill, and we'll end it.
Sure, why not?
All right, we'll start with Ajax.
Greater Ajax on YouTube, VidMe, Minds, and Gab.
Oh, very cool. Playing?
I am Sylvanas Darkangel. I'm on YouTube and Twitter and whatever else.
All right. Thanks.
I am the next 6 minutes. I have sort of a gun fetish, as you may have already seen. I'm
Nah.
I'm on YouTube, VidMe, Minds, Daily Motion sometimes. I'm on Gab, on Twitter sometimes. Next month, I'm going to try to be more friendly with BitChute, see what that's all about. I'm currently producing a line of T-shirts, so if anybody is interested in T-shirts, then check out one of my more recent videos. The link will be in the description. Let's see. I think that's about all I have to talk about. I may be forgetting something, but there's always another CHAOS120 stream, so I can mention it then.
60 answers.
Right.
60 answers. That's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. If you guys want to hear me answer some really strange questions, I have this new series I call 60 Answers. It's into its 3rd episode now. If you are on Discord and would like to ask me questions and you happen to be on my Discord, go to the Ask 6 section and ask a question, and I will answer it in a forthcoming video.
Very cool. Very cool. And I am, of course, Scooby331. You can find me here on YouTube since you're watching my channel. This is where I usually am. I'm on Minds and Gab AI. So that's pretty much myself. Tomorrow night, I don't know if you guys had gotten a message. Weibo is caught up in the family thing. She is not going to be hosting tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, I guess we're looking for a replacement to fill in. But there will be chaos.
Yeah, when that happens,
will be
it's,
chaos.
it's usually
There will be chaos.
Sylvanas or me that fills in. So
I'm
I
late.
guess I'll Sylvanas and whoever and I will rock, paper, scissors for it, I guess.
All right. So, but just to let all of our 2 viewers right now who are watching know, tomorrow, don't worry, you will still get your chaos fix. So until tomorrow night, Jack, good night. Thank you very much for sticking with us, and thank you again for viewing. Chatelet, everyone, and good night.
Adelaide.
Chatelet.
Good night.